Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain, I need a 77 tooth sprocket, I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop AKR.com.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com? They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep,
gloves,
yep,
rib protectors.
got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
And welcome back as we are getting things set to go here. Your first group out is going to be your KA100 Masters. As we saw earlier in qualifying today, this field is 9 deep as they make their way through the cut through on the short warm-up lap, making their way towards the start-finish straight. This is going to be 14 laps in distance. Green flag is out down into turn number 1, and Adam Crippen, who started on pole position, snakes his way up there, and he is going to maintain that first position going down over into turns numbers 3 and 4.
Yeah, Kevin Coleman not being able to hold the outside lane that a lot of the drivers in the 206 categories might be able to do, and already quite the gap between the two out in front. Adam Crippen probably having about 3.5, 4/10 of a second between them. Kevin Coleman is going to have to really dig deep for the rest of this race to try and catch up to the reigning champion. How about Randy Klemick behind him as they make their way through turn 12 and back on to the old circuit now, as through turn 14, a very, very difficult corner to get right. Then the two Minnesota natives of Randy Klemick and Elias Baker making their way through, as I think Chris Linden further back made a mistake and is at the back of the field for the 411 Kart lift driver. But out in front, Caleb, Adam Crippen leading the way over Kevin Coleman and MPG Motorsports in this first round of races for KA100 Masters, the only round of races for them today. And then, of course, heading into the pre-final and the final on what is hopefully going to be a beautiful Sunday morning and afternoon. But like we said, Adam Crippen picking up where he left off at Newcastle, Caleb, and leading the way here in the early stages.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot that we're looking at there with that crossover chicane going over into the bank corner. You can see just how loose everyone's getting going through there. Adam Crippen and Coleman both got a little sideways there before they made the entry over into the bank corner. Now they go through the inside hairpin on the older parts of the track. Coming over towards the start-finish straight, they're going to put another lap into the books here. Again, these are 14 laps in distance, 12 for kit karts, and how they finish will determine where they dictate their starting spot for the pre-final, and then that will determine the starting spot for the final as well. So all sorts of racing coming to you guys live here this weekend as we're watching Crippen and Coleman going through that turns 5-6 complex, heading over into that tight hairpin of turn 7 where they set it up here to go down this back straightaway down into turn 8, that is, down that back stretch, then over to that chicane where, again, you can see that back end just gets a little squirrely there through that crossover before it has to land, plant, and then they can drive it out into that banking.
Yeah, and Adam Crippen, like we say, leading the way. Hasn't been in the seat in a while now. He won at Newcastle Motorsports Park for the Route 66 Bridge Series round we had there, and also won in Texas for the USPKS Texas Grand Prix to start off their 2024 season. So Adam Crippen, definitely one of the best drivers in the nation in terms of the Masters division, and can really be competitive in senior if he really wanted to, as hopefully we see him make an appearance in the KA100 Senior ranks at some point. Is one driver off there we will see in a little bit here as they cut to the shot from the Daytona curve. I believe that's Anders out, as Chris Linden retiring early, the 411 into the pit lane underneath us. But as things stand, Adam Crippen still continuing to lead the way over Kevin Coleman, as Coleman, Caleb, really isn't falling back that much. Adam Crippen really was able to build that gap on the opening lap, making good use of the tire pressures that he has on that Gillard OTK chassis. But Kevin Coleman on that MPG Motorsports Kart, which they call home, not really let him get away.
No, and look at the lap times as well. He was about 1.1 second gap. Now it's down to about 8. So he's making up about, or 8 tenths, not 8 seconds. So he's making up about a tenth a lap as we have 2 more pull off. That is the 414 and the 407. So the 407 of Ryan Heyman came in along with Chris. Chris as well. So unfortunate to see that we have so many dropping out so far. I think that's down to about maybe 4 or 5 karts still on track. But as I was talking about before, the gap closing up by about a tenth a lap. So it almost looks like Coleman may have had his kart set up to come in a little bit later here in the second half of the race, as we're going to have a good indication of that now to make the way towards the start-finish stripe. 0.805 was the difference last time by. This time by 0.838. So open up just a hair of time, but I think it's going to maintain about that gap so far. Not seeing that accordion effect come into play here, but we only have 2 karts in the battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And just watching the behavior of both karts, Kevin Coleman is just really having to wheel at that KR that he's driving underneath him a lot more than Adam Kreppen, just keeping it nice and smooth out in front, holding that consistent lead that he's got through the chicane and through the Daytona curve now, as you can see them make their way into turn 12. Like we've been saying, not a lot of a gap, but Adam Kreppen having a lot of weight on that outside sidewall through turn 12. You see him kind of do a little bit of a hop that's going to lose you a little bit of time, especially through the low-speed corners as they come across the line yet again. As it looks like it's about 0.8 of a second between Kreppen and Coleman, is Randy Klimek in third at the moment. Behind them, it's Elias Baker and Bill Vorpagel as a provisional podium for you as the top 5, or the only 5 that are on track, Caleb. A race of attrition thus far. And we said the drivers' meeting that it's a really tough and technical circuit, along with very bumpy. And from what the drivers said last year, it's the most physical circuit on the calendar. So very interesting to see that 4 drivers dropped out early of this Masters race. Hopefully it's not going to be like that for the rest of the weekend. Obviously we want to see all 9 of those drivers finishing and battling out for the win. But at the moment, who else but Adam Kreppen leading the way as they cross the stripe yet again.
Yeah, and let's see the times now. 0.833 was the difference last time, and actually is going to open up 0.956 between Coleman and Kreppen. So Kreppen can't quite put it on cruise control. He's got to still keep his nose down and hold on to that lead. But again, one thing you got to take into account, tire management this entire weekend is going to play a huge factor. The tires that they qualified on, same ones they have to do all the heat races, same one have to run the feature on. Now this new MG compound has been better than we've seen the previous years. It lays down rubber, but aside from maybe a long-term run that they've done in private testing, we haven't really seen it on a physical track like this one here on a caliper of this, like a national or regional series. So we're going to have to maybe just guesstimate what's going to happen here. I mean, I'm sure some of these teams have done their own testing to figure out what the pressures are going to do and how the tire is going to handle. But right now, Adam Kreppen out in front as we are over halfway. 9 laps of 14 completed this time by. And it is still Kreppen out in front. Look at that gap, 1.2 seconds there between Coleman and Kreppen.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking a little bit more about tire talk, is we always love to. Really interesting what's happening with the tires and the surface here at Whiteland Raceway Park. We saw a lot more marbling of the tires where the rubber gets ripped off the tire and makes these little marbles that you'll find on the outside of the track. Here, you're not seeing that as much. And if you get a good rainstorm, it's almost turning into more of a powder like we see at Rock Cup USA events down south, and those more of a powdered substance come off the tires. As through turn 12 there, you can still see a little bit of marbling there, but it's really the only place, Caleb, that we're seeing those marbles get put down. Yeah, the track's getting darker from the rubber being put down into that surface, but a really interesting characteristic as the drivers come across the line. Again, it's Adam Kreppen extending that lead to 1.4 seconds between himself and Kevin Coleman. Randy Klimek, the Minnesota native, along with Elias Baker, still holding steady in 3rd and 4th, and then Bill Vorpagel, last of the runners, in 5th.
And you're almost wondering, too, is Coleman possibly not necessarily backing off severely, but maybe floating it through the corners a little bit more, backing off on the throttle, not putting the car under such a heavy load, and trying to save his tires, maybe trying to cool it off now to make a last-minute run in this heat, or for the entire weekend as well. If you're running hard and you're kind of just maintaining that gap, as a driver, you don't have, obviously, timing on your screen to see where the gaps are, but you can get a good visual of where the person is in front of you, and if it's kind of just plateauing, might be in your best interest to back it off here for the past 4 or 5 laps and try to save them just incrementally going forward so you have that much more in the feature. But I could and probably am overcomplicating that by saying that, so we're just going to continue to sit and watch here as Adam Kreppen opens up 1.6 seconds so far.
Yeah, I mean, you do bring up a good point, though, because Kevin Coleman, he is starting to lose to Adam Kreppen, and really, what's the point of really trying to fight and wear out these tires at such an early stage of the weekend? You have a fairly large gap between yourself and Randy Klimek, who you just see in shot there. It really, if you're in Kevin Coleman's shoes, be like, okay, didn't win this battle, I'm going to back off, really preserve these tires, and give it a go again tomorrow, really nail down the setup for tomorrow. I think Kevin, after those first couple of laps and diving into the data with the MPG Motorsports guys, will know exactly what they need from that KR chassis to make it really racing up front. But unfortunate for Kevin Coleman, unfortunate for us, because we obviously wanted a race for the lead, as really only on-track battle is further back between Elias Baker and Bill Vorpagel. Those two are just covered by a couple of tenths of a second, who crossed the line underneath us there. But yeah, Caleb, Adam Kreppen not really gaining too much that time. It's held at 1.6 seconds, I think, the past couple of laps. So Adam Kreppen may be doing the exact same thing now, just preserving those MG Red SH2 tires for the pre-final and the final tomorrow. So long races and what's going to be some probably hot Indiana sun for those finals, and obviously attrition is going to come into play there. So through a very tricky and technical 14, 15, and 16 section, Adam Kreppen, again, coming across the line there is Kevin Coleman, still really losing some time there, just 2 seconds between the two of them, Caleb.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, especially being someone who grew up racing here at WRP, the physical aspect mostly comes from that bank corner over there on the Daytona corner. I mean, yes, the tighter stuff does take a wear on you. You go on this long straight, you're like, okay, I can finally relax. Then you go into the corner, you feel that G load go underneath you. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm a little tired again. And then it's going to be the same thing all the way through as well. So we're watching here. We got about 2 laps to go the last time. White flag is going to be shown this time by. And like you said, Adam Kreppen out in front, kind of just maintained that gap. Yes, it did go up to about 2 seconds flat, almost 2.1. However, as far as his lap times go, they've kind of plateaued, and if not fallen off just a little bit, about less than a tenth to a tenth per lap, as now he's running about a 51.2. He was previously running about a 51.4 so far, as we are now making our way, continuing on here as the white flag is being shown out. So we have one more lap as we are now going into the final lap here.
Yeah, absolutely, and even doing the track walks earlier on as we watch Adam Kreppen come through. I'll tell you more about that here. The bank corner is just so wearing for these drivers, and you think, finally, okay, it's a tight technical circuit, I finally have a break, and then you stare at this big wall that lays before you of this bank corner and thinking, oh gosh, here we go again. Adam Kreppen makes his way through there again for the final time into the back half of the old circuit. Adam Kreppen has been pretty untouchable this race. Just a few more corners to go now for him to clinch the first heat race win, as Adam Kreppen across the line here to take heat race number 1. Kevin Coleman unable to do anything for him for MPG Motorsports, 2.5 seconds back in second. Randy Clements going to round the final couple of corners now for the AMK Race Products EOS Kart, and then Elias Baker is going to hold off Bill Vorpagel to finish in 4th, and then 5th again is Vorpagel, and 4 DNFs there that happened fairly early on in the race, mind you, as the last 10 laps were pretty uneventful there. There is the final results for those drivers who finished. Coleman 2.5 back, Klimek 10.9, then Elias Baker and Bill Vorpagel about 17.5 seconds back, as we'll be moving on to Kit Car in a few seconds here. But here's the replay and the highlights from this race, and this is really where it went all downhill for Kevin Coleman. He really tried to hold that outside line there, but just really couldn't. There is what has happened to Chris Linden. That was a bit of a mistake that brought him further down the field. Just been looking at this very tight technical section. That's one of the drivers retiring that you can see there. I believe that was Scott Anders, who retired early from one of the opening laps of this race. Have to get an idea on what happened there. This is the man that they all tried to beat and really failed. Caleb, Adam Kreppen is just so consistent out in front. One of the best drivers in terms of Masters competition in the country. Seeing the checkered flag first, and we'll be starting on pole for Heat 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to see if maybe Kevin Coleman has anything underneath that MPG tent. They're going to go back and look at the data and see if we can't figure something out for the pre-final set to go tomorrow. So we're going to go to just a little quick commercial break, as we do have to reset the track for the Kit Karts about to go on here shortly. So stay tuned as we recognize our sponsors. We do have a little bit of kart cleanup to do as well. So when we come back, we're going to go to the kiddos. Kit Kart Racing coming to you live here on Kart Chaser Grassroots.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
folks, and welcome back to Kart Chasers live coverage of the second round of the Route 66 Sprint Series. Caleb, a bit of a different look to this start as the Kid Karts will have Patrick the pace car out in front on his electric bike, setting the pace for these drivers. And as funny as it is to look at, for good or for bad, this is the best they've had in terms of pace on an outlap before, as Kyler Hendrickson, Weston Kolar, Austin Benoit, Diesel Maxwell, and Caden Marshall will be your 5 drivers. Pace car pulls off. We are green and ready to go as they go into the old section. Kyler Hendrickson picking up where he left off last year. He was the winner last year of the third round then here at Whiteland Raceway Park, as all the drivers really filing in line. Caden Marshall starting to lose the lead pack there, as Kyler Hendrickson, like we said, still out in front. Weston Kolar seemed like he had a bit of a jump off the line there, crossing the timing beacon first, but Kyler Hendrickson out in front, really doing a slide job through there, as Kolar not getting out of that corner the best. That would be turn 14, as across the line they come. It's still Kyler Hendrickson out in front and leading the way.
Yeah, Kyler Hendrickson, little brother to Kason Hendrickson that we see in the 2-cycle, 4-cycle divisions here at WRP, as well as the national and regional circuits. Leading the way out here for Kid Karts and the 4-stroke Kid Kart categories to make their way now through that Daytona corner. And the track layout is small, and it's kind of a little eerie for me thinking back of when I first started working here. That was the national layout here at Whiteland Raceway Park, was one that they're running on now, and we shortened it just a little bit just because it's a little bit longer for these kiddos. It's a little bit too long of a track, and shorten the laps up just a little bit as well, so that they're not out here in the Indiana sun like you were talking about. No, you being from Minnesota coming down here, it's probably like us going to Florida with the amount of heat waves you have to deal with going from that extreme change. As we go down the backstretch again, still Kyler Hendrickson out in front on, I believe, what is the top cart under AMAX Racing, followed by Weston Kolar in the second position. Diesel Maxwell also on that AMAX Racing team as well, in the top cart in the third position, followed by Austin Bennett in P3, and Caden Marshall in that 5th spot in the KR.
Yeah, Caden Marshall, one of the race winners from last year at Newcastle Motorsports Park, and then Kyler Hendrickson took a couple wins as well. So Kyler out in front and leading the way for this Top Kart USA Kid Kart class, and Top Kart leading the way in Kid Karts, as it's now 1 second between himself and Weston Kolar, the Diesel Maxwell, the 141 Top Kart driver, in third. And it's Austin Benoit and Caden Marshall, your top 5 as things stand. Caleb is starting to spread things out just a little bit as everyone's starting to find their place on track. We saw quite a race in the final last year between Hendrickson and Maxwell. Hopefully we see the same this year with the rest of the karts we have added to the field, as Hendrickson making his way out of the final couple of corners, still out and leading the way. Calm, composed for him. 1.5 seconds now is the gap between Hendrickson and Kolar.
Yeah, and like you said, to the rest of the field, getting themselves spaced out. And you got to remember as well, this is only for the kiddos to get their feet wet in the sport, see if they are interested in it before their parents throw tens of thousands of dollars at equipment and carts and all that. And it's also a good opportunity just to make the sport grow a little bit more. You know, if you're trying to figure out what sport your kid likes, doesn't like, you need something in the summertime that you can't do year-round, this is a good opportunity as well. And a lot of times, too, I mean, I look back on it when I was in kid karts, it was just a fun thing my dad and I used to do. We'd go out on the weekends and putz around. To me, I feel like a rock star being able to tell my friends I was going racing here this weekend. But for these kiddos, it's just a good taste to be in that little bit of a regional series, so you can figure out, one, you can just get used to the flow of things, of how things go being at a racetrack, and two, you can get good track time as well, and plenty of it this weekend with the 3 heat races, plus all the practices that we had yesterday and today, as we continue to watch Kyler Hendrickson out in front, making the way through the south side hairpin, as we are currently working 7 laps of it. It says 14, but I'm pretty sure the schedule said 12. I could be wrong. But yeah, I do believe 12 laps is the distance here for the kid karts. Now coming up through the inner hairpin, through the final 2 corners, Kyler Hendrickson got to put another lap into the books, as we're looking at 7 laps complete so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and through onto the old national layout, like you said there, and part of the cutoff that we have for the rest of the drivers. Kyler Hendrickson, 2.7 seconds out in front, doing pretty good so far, but still has to get this thing to the line to get him on pole position for tomorrow for the pre-finals. The 95 Top Kart driver making it the gaps out in front just a lot bigger than obviously like we would want to see some racing, but Kyler's been doing an absolutely excellent job out in front and leading the way for Top Kart USA Kid Kart Division, as the rest of the 5 drivers making their way across the line. Kyler doing his best to tuck behind the wheel, but when you can only move your head about an inch forward on the wheel, not doing a whole lot there, but A for effort there, buddy, as he comes out of the Daytona corner yet again. You can barely even see the drivers in shot that he's behind, as he's going to have Caden Marsha to deal with the lap traffic. Coming into the hairpin here at turn 14. A really interesting way that Hendrickson has been attacking that corner, really sliding and relying on that outside rear tire to grip through there, round the outside for Kyler Hendrickson there, getting past Caden Marsha there. Caleb, just a few short laps to go for these Kid Kart drivers before they can hang up the helmets and head to the fun zone for tonight. But Kyler Hendrickson in the class of the field thus far.
Yeah, so we continue watching here. Talk about the fun zone, all the activities. There's plenty of activities we have going on here this afternoon for the 4th of July weekend. We got fireworks going off when the sun starts to go down and it comes about time for dusk. The cookout the Whiteland Raceway Park is putting on for all participants here, WRP, for this Route 66 regional race weekends. We have the fun zone like you're talking about. We got inflatables over on the backside. So if you're watching this here in the area and you want to come check it out and see what it's about, definitely come by and stop by. I'd love to have all the company that we can get. And I know I said it once, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing my boss go into a dunk tank today. Alexander Clements is going to sit up on a pedestal and have a ball be thrown right onto a bullseye where he can get dunked into a tank. And I know multiple team principals as well. I believe Liberante and Chase are going to participate in that. I think Megan Olds also said she might be a contender to go into the dunk tank. And I know Chris Kardashian, someone else who is going to participate. And that's just a fun thing, you know, where yes, we're here to be serious. We're here to race hard. We're here to have a good time. But we want to make sure that it's all about fun, because at the end of the day, Roger Penske's not here looking over everyone to see who's going to sign for IndyCar. This is something that you can stay competitive. It's a regional, so it's something that is very competitive, and I think we have great competition here. But at the same time, you can still kick back and laugh with your friends at the end of the day, and I think that's where most of the memories come from.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly said there, Caleb. A lot of fun stuff for us tonight. Like you said, cookout, ice cream machine with root beer floats. Also happening dunk tank. We have the cornhole tournament, reaction time game, and of course the fireworks show that we had here at last year, and it was a huge hit. I'm really looking forward to that, though. White flag for Kyler Hendrickson. He'll be looking forward to the checkered flag, hopefully, as he makes his way through the Kid Kart cutoff and on to what is the back straight for the rest of the big-sized karts. Through Daytona corner one more time for Kyler Hendrickson, who's built that gap up to 6.6 seconds over Weston Kolar, and then Diesel Maxwell 5.4 back, and the rest of the field trailing there. But Kyler Hendrickson been the driver to beat, and has been the driver to beat in Kid Kart alone for the past season. And out of the final corner comes the 95 Top Kart. It's a checkered flag in the air. He will win heat number 1 of Top Kart USA Kid Kart, with Weston Kolar finishing right behind him on the 06 Nitro Kart chassis that he's got driving underneath him. And then Diesel Maxwell, Austin Benoit, and Caden Marsha, Caleb, will round out your 5 karts in Top Kart USA Kid Kart.
Yes, so that will do it for the kiddos here in Top Kart. They are done for the day, and like I said, they can make their way over to the fun zone. Up next, it's your Micro Swifts making their way out on track, as we're going to go to commercial break as we have to reset the track and get it set up for the national layout. So Micro Swifts is set to go out next here for their 14-lap feature event. You are watching the Route 66 Sprint Series. We are live on Kart Chaser Grassroots from Whiteland Raceway Park on the 4th of July weekend, and stay tuned as we still have more competition coming your way. here we go. We're about to get things going with your Micro Swift set to take their 14-lap Heat 1 event as they're in the tram lines, making their way down towards the Turn 2 complex. We throw the green going into turn number 2. It is Danny O'Gara going to take him to the green here, and looks like for a moment they wanted to go a 3-wide salute, and they're going to call off the start as we're going to send them around one more time as we can now see if I can file through all my paperwork to go to our the qualifying order. That is from Happy Hour, as I am blind. Let's see if we can't find it here, as we are now going to get set. So Danny O'Gara starting on pole position. Next to him is going to be Liam Four in the second spot. Dominic Gaddis on that MPG KR entry is going to be in the third position. Jalen Brom is going to be in P4. Will Feichinger in the fifth position. If you look on your screen too, it is an MPG KR 1, 3, and 5 set to go green here as they're coming down. Let's see if we can't do it again, as they are now in the tram lines 2 by 2. And it looks like Liam not too happy with the pace of the field, but they're going to go green anyways. There's a little bit of a push there from the back. Dominic Gaddis helping out his teammate of Danny O'Gara down into turn number 2, and they're going to span out 2 wide, possibly 3, as they're going to settle in now as they make their way over towards the 5 and 6 complex.
Yeah, MPG Motorsports, how about that first start there at 1-2 as things stand. Liam Ford was not happy with that start on the outside. He was waiting for that one to be called off, but it went green anyway. The start from us looked fine as Danny O'Gara looks over his shoulder, was looking at something on his cart there, so hopefully everything's okay for his MPG Motorsports machine as Gaddis is really starting to close in there. Wonder if he was, if O'Gara was onto something or just something a bit premature, and you know, just getting on those opening laps. Kart maybe feels a bit weird if you had made some changes, as Dylan Braun really close to the back of Liam Ford there, has attempted to move up the inside in turn 14. Back out of it though, and Danny O'Gara leads us across the line to complete lap 1 with Gaddis right behind Liam Ford. He's still holding in there, Caleb, on the driver's right in front of us, the MPG Motorsports duo out in front, but Gaddis though not letting Danny O'Gara get away.
No, he's all over the back bumper. I wonder if he's going to maybe try the avenue of getting a little bit of a push, but like you said, Liam Four, he's keeping him humble there in that third position, as he's not quite close enough to maybe be a concern as of now. Although I say that, through that quick crossover chicane, he is now within striking distance. I think we got a 3-car battle for the lead, and we do. So the 2 KR MPGs out in front, then Liam Four in that third position on the Tony Kart OTK in that third position. Bringing along with him Dylan Braun, not too far back as well in P4, and he's bringing Lincoln Wiley with him. Lincoln Wiley just out of the field of view of the top 3, along with Braun there in that 4th position. But the top 3 start going back and forth, and Ford decides to break up the pack of the 2 MPGs. We could see a 4-car battle or 5-car battle for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely, as we make their way through the back section and onto the back straight in just a couple of moments time. Turn 7 as they're going through right there. The hairpin and the back is a really good passing opportunity, especially for the 4-cycle side of things. So when we get on to 206 Senior up next, we're going to see some overtakes through there for sure. It's a little bit more difficult to get it done in 2-cycle competition, whatever that reason may be, but like we said, Danny O'Gara continues to lead the way from a 3-kart battle pack out in front, with Gaddis and Four making up that pack, and then Dylan Braun not too far away, and then Lincoln Wiley rounding out your top 5 as they come across the stripe.
Yeah, and it looked like Gaddis may have had a couple of peaks there on O'Gara going into turn 1 last lap, or sorry, turn 3 I should say, and as well as going into that crossover is now Liam Four on the back bumper of Gaddis, as we got one turned around going into the inside hairpin. You can see it just off camera on the left-hand side there. But top 3 going back and forth. I'll tell you what, if I'm Liam Four, the first thing I want to do is break up that 2-pack out in front. You know their teammates on the same chassis. They're probably either sharing down or working together. The first thing I want to do is separate them and make sure that they can't quite run away with it. However, it looks like Gaddis might be equal to O'Gara. I think that draft is kind of keeping him in that field of view of having the opportunity to make a pass. But if he was to get back around, I think it's going to be the same situation where these 2 are going to be running almost identical times. And the 2 of them working together can't quite get away from Liam Four there in that 3rd position.
Yeah, absolutely. And just watching the behavior of Danny O'Gara's kart, I can't put my finger on it, but just something seems off with that MPG Motorsports kart out in front. Just doesn't seem as lively. And as jump out of the corner, speaking of jumping out of the corner, Dominic Gaddis up the inside. Then Liam Four is going to try and get it on Danny O'Gara, unable to. But new leader, but same team. MPG Motorsports still leads, but this time with Dominic Gaddis out in front. Danny O'Gara might have to play the game of the pusher to get away from Liam 4 and let these two decide amongst themselves who's going to take pole position for heat number 2 in the morning hours of Sunday. Stick around for those. Those are going to be some really good pre-final and finals. Those will be live on Kart Chaser as well. But on-track action right now in Techno Kart Micro Swift. Dominic Gaddis leading the way from his MPG Motorsports teammate of Danny O'Gara, who isn't able to fight back that lap. He'll try to push his teammate further away from Liam 4, who is kind of dropping back a little bit, Caleb, but seems to find his moments on the track. He does struggle in some places, but the places he is very, very good, he's able to reel those guys right back in.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is they all bunch up coming out of turn 8, going down that stretch and that quick chicane of 9 and 10. On the exit of 9 and 10 going into Daytona is when they really start to bunch up, and you can see them nose to tail. And all it takes is just holding on to that. It seems to be the deciding factor when it kind of separates back out, as you saw Liam 4 getting a push there to O'Gara, is coming out of the south side hairpin and the inner hairpin. That seems to be where they kind of spread back out. They got to bunch them all back again. O'Gara, like you were talking about, you said he couldn't quite put your finger on what was wrong, but something seems off. It almost looks like something's loose in the back, because it seems to be he's almost dancing that thing through turns 2, 3, and 4. And I think that's why he's able to close it back down the longer parts of the track. When you get to the tighter bits, like what they're going into now, from 2 to 8, it seems to be where they kind of spread back out. And I think Liam 4 doesn't quite know what to do. He knows O'Gara's fast on the straights, as we're about to see that now, as O'Gara tried it up the inside. But I think Liam's just kind of sitting and waiting here until he sees 2 laps to go before he decides to do anything about it. Because if you know he's fast but not quite predictable with what the kart's doing, you don't want to try to make an attempt and end up being taken out as collateral, not because O'Gara intended to, but just because he has to dance that entire kart around the track.
Yeah, absolutely. And Liam 4, you have to remember with these micro drivers, a lot of them have so much talent behind the wheel, but some drivers are still learning the basics, like having the confidence to pass, and Liam 4 has gotten a lot better at that over the years, but it's still one of the things that if you find him in the back of the pack, he struggles to get past some people, but you got to think this weekend might be the weekend for him, as he's running up front and battling for the win, and he gets a lot more comfortable with making those late moves, getting late on the brakes as they make their way into turn 2 and into 3, this new section of the track. The 2 MPG Motorsports drivers, even though, Caleb, they're able to push bumper to bumper with each other, the Tony Kart driver of Liam 4 is still on their coattails.
Yeah, he's right there, and it closes up, especially coming out of 8s when they seem to separate out. I think if O'Gara can just get a little bit better run than he was getting out of turn 8 and just stay on the back bumper of Gaddis, they might be able to push themselves away. But call it draft, call it the accordion effect, or what have you, but Liam 4 is staying in the field of view. We're coming up now in about 9 laps completed this time by, so we are in the closing stages, or about at 5 laps to go, or approaching 5 laps to go, I should say, as up the hill they go. And you have to wonder too, Liam 4 kind of fading away just ever so slightly. If O'Gara decides to make a move on his teammate Gaddis, that's going to open Pandora's box, allow 4 to get into it. And they were able to pull away from Dylan Braun and Lincoln Wiley, so they were in that field of view, the top 5. Now they're still in the top 5, but just separated so far away, so it's going to come down to these 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and just waiting for the move to happen. We are going to have some lap traffic to deal with, so that can always throw a spanner in the works here, as Daniel O'Gara starting to fall back ever so slightly from his teammate, as Liam 4 is right there, as O'Gara looks back and forth, just says, let's go and get him. So this could get interesting with a couple of lap carts on the radar of Dominic Gaddis out in front, as all these drivers just have their own areas, Caleb, that they're all just very, very strong in, and that shows, as like you said, it's the accordion effect throughout the race. But this is where it gets interesting, because we have a lap cart just a couple of seconds up the road, and with a tight and technical track like this, a lot of things could happen trying to clear them, but obviously, hopefully, we get all those drivers past and we can continue this battle past that. Dominic Gaddis will be the first one to reach the scene. Daniel O'Gara behind, and Liam 4 still your top 3. Then Dylan Braun and Lincoln Wiley your top 5. Coming up to the lap cart now. They're going to try the over-under. All 3 of them seemingly got past there pretty okay. Liam 4, this is going to have to be a late move for him into the chicane. he gets that done, and somehow, even though he was squeezed to the apex there in the chicane, found some time on Danny O'Gara as the laps are starting to count down. We're going to get 2 to go, and I believe next time by for these drivers, as still, it's like you said, Pandora's box is yet to be opened with these guys. We've had the same top 3 for quite some time in this race, as Danny O'Gara is saying, push me, to Liam Ford to try and catch up to his MPG Motorsports teammate. You have to think once one driver makes that move, it's going to break loose out in front.
Yeah, and the thing too with Liam Ford is you're kind of get put in this lose-lose situation where you can make the lunge on O'Gara. I think he's got a couple of points on the track where maybe his car's a little bit better, or he is just outright faster than O'Gara, so he could make the lunge. The problem is, as soon as you get too much of a gap between yourselves and Dominic Gaddis out in front, the draft goes away, the chances you have at the win goes away. So you have that where you get to gain a position but lose a chance at a win, or you sit and wait for O'Gara in second to make the move on Gaddis, and you can say, okay, we're all going to be kept back equal here if we decide to battle back and forth. The problem is he's got to sit and wait and just burn time right now. I mean, he's comfortable in this position. These karts aren't that wide. They're the smaller cadet chassis, so he might possibly do a 2-for-1 special if O'Gara decides to make the move. But right now, you kind of just have to go through the mental strategy of figuring out what you want to do. Do you want to make the move now for second and possibly throw away a chance at a win, or do you want to sit and watch this pan out?
Yeah, I mean, Gaddis' issue right now is O'Gara is just collecting data in his mind about where he's stronger than Gaddis. I saw him go for a little bit of a lunge into turn 2, but not give Gaddis enough information that he was going for it, just testing the brakes there to see if he can get it slowed down. I think we're going to see it there in a couple of laps' time from Danny O'Gara, or it could be somewhere a bit unexpected for him, as Liam Ford starting to drop back ever so slightly. But like we've been saying, the second we start to get one move here out in front, Liam Ford will be brought right back into it. 2 to go, this time by. Sticks in the air from our flagman, Mick Gallagher, as they head their way into turn 2, excuse me. Is Danny O'Gara really not getting the run he would have wanted out of the double lefts to end the lap of 15 and 16 to get on to the back bumper of the number 14 of Dominic Gaddis. It's 4/10 of a second last time across the stripe as Liam Ford, 7/10 back from Dominic Gaddis, but about 3/10 back from O'Gara as they make their way out of turn 8 on to the backstretch now. There is a lap kart further up the road, but I wonder, Caleb, if we're gonna reach to the back end of Bella Brinkman, the number 88. That's who is on the radar of Dominic Gaddis. Just a couple seconds up the road as will be white flag in the air this time by. I don't think it should be an issue, Caleb, but white flag in the air, 1 lap to go. We'll have to see from O'Gara if he can make the move.
Yeah, I think O'Gara, as soon as you have any opportunity for it, you got to go for it. He's trying to recoup from what he lost the previous 2 laps. He's still not quite there yet. There's Brinkman letting the, or no, oh, that was Gaddis already going on the defensive, and here comes O'Gara. Gaddis defended when I don't think he needed to, down into turn 2, so now O'Gara's in the field of view. O'Gara's trying to force him on the inside. He goes around the top. Not quite any contact there. Gaddis is going to hold on to it. O'Gara's got a good run. But now Gaddis, let's see, the cards are in his hand, and also going to be in Liam Ford. I mean, Liam, if I'm in your situation right there, might have to wait and see on the south side hairpin here, because I think Gaddis might take a lunge here at O'Gara. He's already to the back bumper, going down out of the Daytona corner. O'Gara's not defending. He's taken the normal line, and I think that was defensive in of itself as they make their way up the hill now. One more opportunity coming into the inner hairpin here. Gaddis might try to the inside. O'Gara doesn't defend again, maybe just a little bit, but I think he might hold it here across the stripe, so count it. Danny O'Gara, as it's a photo finish. O'Gara got it. So Danny O'Gara will take the win here for Heat 1. Gaddis in P2 and Liam 4 in the 3rd position. How about that for a photo finish? I'd love to see that one on replay here shortly. The rest of the order, though, Dylan Braun able to maintain that 4th position. Lincoln Wiley rounding out the top 5. Will Feichtinger net lost 1 position there to go to P6. Bo Wyatt goes to P7. Chase Collin 8th. Bella Brinkman 9th. And Caper Nelson rounds out the top 10. There is the top 10 on your board here with all 10 carts that started. And let's watch some replays here of all the action that happened through. And I tell you what, I can't wait to watch that pass that O'Gara made around the outside of Dominic Gaddis. So here's the restart that we had, and it was the 2nd attempt. And there is on the outside, Liam Ford had his hand up. I don't know if he was getting much of a push or what. He wasn't too happy about that start. Gaddis went straight to the back bumper of O'Gara on the inside. And Will Feichinger there, and that third MPG got squeezed to the outside there when Will Ford took the position. Here's Gaddis all over the back bumper of O'Gara, and we saw that time and time again all the way through as they make their way over in through the south side hairpin. It looks like, oh, we did have one come to a stop there, the 67, so that is what happened to Capern Nelson. So unfortunate for that driver. They're going to have to go over to heat 2, or the pre-final I should say, and start from the back and work their way up. This is when Dominic Gaddis was out in front and holding off O'Gara when he went on the defensive there into turns 2, defended it in 3, and how about this? Squeezed it around the outside, and kudos to both those drivers. Gaddis could have caused a huge incident, so could have O'Gara if he pinched it too hard. They maintained that side-by-side through 6 and 7, and how about this photo finish in the slow-mo? O'Gara already celebrating, Gaddis there in P2, and Liam 4 rounding it out in P3. So that's going to do it for your Micro Swifts. We still have more racing coming your guys' way. Is up next, it's one of the 2 big classes, 206 Senior, set to take the green here shortly.
We're at a commercial break.
Welcome back to Kart Chasers live coverage of round 2 of the Route 66 Sprint Series here at the beautiful Whiteland Raceway Park. And it is time for the premier class in Senior 206 racing. 206 Senior on track now, and Alexander Kardashian for AMK Race Products will be leading them to the green. The 555 driver who got out of his 4-cycle racing sabbatical last year here with Top Kart USA will find himself on pole alongside Eli Warren, Wyatt Leslie, Jerry Fandry, and Connor Fashing. Then Cale Zimmerman, Braden Johnson, Kira Stye, Cami Feaster, and Lucas Rennick rounding out your top 10. And all these drivers ready to go in what is a pretty stacked field as Adam Max will be starting from the rear. Mr. A-Max himself, the 578, will have some work to do for this race, the pre-final and the final. Looking towards the green flag to get things going. Will they get on their first time of asking? They will. Green flag in the air, and it's a good jump for Alexander Kardashian on the inside lane as Eli Warren slots in line there. Jerry Fandy trying to get past and hold position on Connor Fashing as he's going to get demoted down a spot by Cale Zimmerman. Not the start that Fashing, the Minnesota native, would have wanted, but Alexander Kardashian building a bit of a gap to the rest of the field as it looks like he did not get a good jump out of turn 7 there as Alexander Kardashian has Eli Warren for company. One of those drivers who is so quick, whether you put him in a 206 or a KA100. Bumper to bumper racing there between the two of them as Wyatt Leslie, Jerry Fandry, and Cale Zimmerman starting to fall back ever so slightly. Caleb is further back in the pack. Adam Maxwell making up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions on this opening lap alone. He's going to be a driver to watch as Cale Zimmerman, Connor Fashing, and I believe that's Wyatt Leslie making some contact off camera But like we said, Alexander Kardashian leading the way, Caleb, over Eli Warren, who's starting to fall back ever so slightly in the opening part of this lap.
Yeah, and how about their third placeman too right now? Jerry Fandry started back in the 4th position, got caught up in that mess there in that entire first lap, able to now get into clean air up into P3, and is already at the back door right now of Eli Warren going into turn number 8, heading down that straightaway over into the chicane of 9 and 10. And I'll tell you what, Fandry's been all over the country, TSRS, Illinois, Indiana, and not only that, he's also one of the top cameramen for Kart Chaser as well. So he's our very own, finding his way out on track as he, I think, might play the long game here. He might connect to the back bumper of Eli Warren, giving it a little bit of a push to catch back up to that man right there on your screen, Alexander Kardashian. You're going to have to work together to catch back up. Kardashian, extremely fast, been running a long time here. His father, the owner of Route 66, is putting on a good show right now for us all. And if Fandry doesn't work together with Warren, we could see Kardashian pull away from the field. And just now, Fandry's close enough to give a little bit of assistance there to Warren. Like we're talking about, not a whole lot of drafting that we've seen in the other 2-cycle divisions, but now in the 4-cycle, a little bit lower horsepower class, a little bit stock all the way through. So they're able to use that draft clear advantage. And coming out of turn 8, Fandry just not close enough now to give that push to Warren going to that back straightaway, but still going to be 10 laps to go at the line. Plenty of time, as there's Fandry now in that white side pods and nose cone, catching up to the back bumper of Eli Warren, who I believe is on a Burrell Art, heading down over into the inner hairpin now.
Yeah, talking a little bit more about chassis, we have 4 different chassis manufacturers in the top 5, counting OTK as one between Jerry Fandry and Wyatt Leslie, but we have representation from Kart, Burrell, OTK, like we said, and VLR, 4-cycle bespoke chassis that Cale Zimmerman is on, running in 4th at the moment for him. Maybe not the opening couple of laps he would have wanted, as he finds himself leading Wyatt Leslie and defending from him, as, like I said, Caleb, Jerry Fandry is right on the back end of the War Power Burrell Art entry of Eli Warren, who really has seen Alexander Kardashian drive off into the sunset on that Kart chassis. Don't see a lot of those in 206 racing, apart from the likes of Derek Wargo, who on the Drive Your Own Line chassis and team. But for Alexander Kardashian, really, really solid run thus far out in front. A bit of a battle pack starting to form further back for the likes of Cale Zimmerman, Wyatt Leslie, Braden Johnson, and Connor Foshing. Behind them, a few more spots is Adam Maxwell, who continues to make his way up the field. As we see now, Alexander Kardashian continuing to lead the way for AMK Race Products and for Kart. Eli Warren and Jerry Fandry might be working together here, Caleb, really like testing the water, seeing if Eli can bring them to the back end of Alexander Kardashian. But if they can't do that, Jerry Fandry and Eli Warren are both smart enough to know that they're going to have to swap positions and try it again to see if that combination works as they make their way onto the back straight. It's going to be a long task for them, Caleb. 1.2 seconds is not an easy gap to make up in these Briggs 206s.
I think this lap right here is going to dictate how it's going to work out for those two, because this is the first time Fandry and Warren have actually been able to connect together, and they get an entire lap. As Fandry raised his hand, I think he was pointing at Warren, said, "We got to go," indicating to him, "I don't really want to race you right now. You are a competitor. We're going to have to put our differences aside in order for us to catch back up to Kardashian." So 1.236 last time. Let's see what it is this time. 1.379. So it's not working out in this order, and I think they know it, because there goes on the inside there off camera. That was Fandry getting around Warren. So now Warren's going to tuck behind. They are going to lose time this lap to Kardashian, but they're going to have to kind of kick it into overdrive here. Looking at about 6 laps out of 14, going to be halfway this next time by. So those two working together are going to have to definitely pick up the pace. But I think Warren might be a little bit better behind Fandry than Fandry was behind Warren.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because Eli definitely gets through the corners a lot quicker on the entry compared to Jerry Fandry, but on mid-corner and exit, Jerry Fandry just reels them back in. So I don't know how they're going to be able to work together as well in this combination, but we'll have to wait and see for what timing and scoring says. Like you said, Caleb, 1.3 seconds back is the gap last time across the timing and scoring stripe. Coming across this time, it is 1.9 seconds. So they did pass each other on that lap, so we'll have to see a real representation next time across the stripe. But obviously for those two not there, Eli Warren really isn't able to hold with the back end of Jerry Fandry. Fandry is probably looking at a P2 finish here if Alexander Kardashian can keep it on the road. It would be very, very hard for Fandry to make up that 1.9 seconds back gap between him and Kardashian. Fandry, of course, having a win already in a heat race on the season, and Heat 1 in what was a wet Heat 1 for 206 Senior, but it's starting to become a theme of big gaps out in front for Senior. We saw last year James Overbeck was able to pull a 10-second gap in one of the heat races on what was a stacked field. Not because they were just racing too much or anything, it's just Overbeck found 10 seconds worth of pace on the rest of the field. Unfortunately, James not with us racing this weekend. Hope to see him in the rest of the rounds of the 2024 season, Caleb. But out in front, Alexander Kardashian, 2.2 seconds, which obviously doesn't sound like that much, but in 206 racing is an eternity.
Yeah, I think the chances of catching back up all might be put to the wayside. Kardashian, I think he has full confidence in these tires last the entire weekend because he's been pushing it hard from the start. He took a peek back. I think he might start to plateau a little bit at times as he settles in, not because he can't keep the pace, but simply because you have to make these tires last 2 heat races as well as the feature. And these heat races aren't short. You got 14 laps for this one, 14 laps for the pre-final, I believe 20 for the actual event itself. So long laps here, especially with how technical this track is. And I think Fandry might start to do the same. He's got a little bit of a gap now between himself and Eli Warren. You have to know that the chances of catching up before the time expires is all but to the wayside, as he's 2.7 seconds back. And like we were talking about before, tire management might become the most big talking point in these heat races in the pre-final, and then come time for the feature, we'll see what pays off.
Yeah, absolutely, and another camera shot there of just how big of a gap Alexander Kardashian has built to Jerry Fandry and Eli Warren behind him. Further back in the pack, Wyatt Leslie is holding off from Cale Zimmerman, then Braden Johnson, Connor Fashing, Kira Stye, Adam Maxwell, and Cami Fuster, your top 10 as things stand. Looking further back in the pack, you can see there Eli Warren and Wyatt Leslie are right there on each other, and Cale Zimmerman has broke away from what used to be a bit of a battle pack between the 4 carts behind him to chase down Eli Warren, who really doesn't have the pace. You can see off camera there Wyatt Leslie getting past Eli Warren for position, as now Cale Zimmerman is in this fight now as well. Zimmerman is going to look up the inside, as you can see the move there shortly on camera. Getting that move done is Cale Zimmerman, so put the VLR 505 up a spot as well. All this is happening. Alexander Kardashian is enjoying this very, very much. It's a 3-second gap last time across the stripe for the Minnesota native, as Connor Fashing and Braden Johnson getting past Eli Warren. Now Eli Warren might have some issues on that Burrell Art chassis that he is running this weekend. Really falling down the order, and might fall into the clutches of Kira Stye and Adam Maxwell in the next couple of laps here. But yeah, you have to say for Alexander Kardashian, Caleb, what a run it's been thus far, and if it's going to be like this for the rest of the weekend, the rest of the field has their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and I think that a bunch of drivers that we've seen so far in qualifying and the heat racers are going to have to go back to the books here tonight and look at their setup, look over data, and see if they can't figure some more things out. I was talking to Jerry Fandry about what he talked about when James Overbeck drove 10-plus seconds away from the field. He said cumulatively everyone was on the same gear except for Overbeck. So I think now, looking back on that, no one wants to miss anything. And I think it might be more experimental this year than it was opposed to last year when Route was running round number 3 here at WRP. Now we're here for round number 2, as we're looking at 3 laps to go for your leader, Alexander Kardashian, 3.5 seconds ahead. So I think if Kardashian just maintains what he's doing now, any chance of anyone catching him right now has gone to the wayside. Fandry, even if he starts turning about 2/10 of a lap faster, not going to be anywhere close enough to make a move, and I think we see that too. He's not getting as aggressive up on the wheel. His hands have definitely started to slow down, taking it less aggressive, and I think more thing that we talked about than not, saving the tires to try to bring it on home is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely, like we talked about there in KA100 Masters, of just trying to preserve those MG Red SH2s for the rest of the weekend. And you're starting to see what we saw about 10 or so years ago in NASCAR with the tandem drafting. It's seeming like it's the way to go. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 sets of tandem drafts on track right now. Bit of lap traffic though for Alexander Kardashian. We'll see how he manages this, but for such a veteran driver and with a driver with so much experience and pace for him, should be able to clear that lap traffic without any issue. And even if he does get held behind a little bit, you got a 4-second gap. You can have, you can take that time away from your races. I believe will be 2 to go. This time by is Kira Sty defending from Adam Maxwell through the Daytona corner there. Minnesota native holding off the hometown kit here for AMAX Racing. As it is 2 to go, 6 in the air. This time by from our flagman Nick Gallagher is now 3.9 seconds, 4.2 seconds, excuse me, between Kardashian and Vandry as he's trying to get past the 5:53. That is Kendra Padilla. He just got past there. So losing a little bit of time there, Caleb, but nothing to fret over for Kardashian as, again, he has that 4.2 seconds to work with, so able to take his time around some lap cars, has that luxury to his name. And Jerry Fandry behind him, really just seeing this race run away from him in the mid stages of it, as wasn't able to hold with the pace of Alexander Kardashian.
Yeah, so now we're going to sit here and watch as a white flag will be shown this time by to your race leader. Alexander Kardashian is led from the get-go after starting on pole position from qualifying, and I believe even had the fastest lap in happy hour. So try to do a complete sweep of the weekend. The third step about to be checked off, and just one more lap here for Kardashian, getting heat race number 1 under his belt as he's making his way now into 2 and 3. And let's watch him around here as we take a lap of the circuit at Whiteland Raceway Park for the Route 66 layout. That was turns 4 and 5, heading over the double Fs of 6 and 7. Or sorry, 5 and 6, now into 7. That really tight hairpin heading over to turn 8 now. That final corner before the long stretch down that back straightaway, relatively speaking for this track that is, over in the chicane of 9 and 10. We have to throw the kart through there, through the banking of turn 11, over into turn 12 for the final time. If we can maybe get a pan of that now, out of turn 12, coming up the hill to turn 13, as a little bit of battling going on farther back. I think that may have been with Brayton Johnson and pulling off the 511. Could be wrong, but anyways, checker flag is now out. Alexander Kardashian is going to take the win in heat race number 1, and Jerry Fandry drives from 4th to 2nd and brings on home. Will start on the front row tomorrow for heat number 2. Wyatt Leslie comes across in 3rd, Cale Zimmer in 4th, and Brady Johnson rounds out your top 5.
Yeah, outside the top 5, and looking at Connor Fashing, Adam Maxwell, and Kira Sty, all drivers that we thought could be on the podium, is Eli Warren dropping down to 11th there, and outside the top 10. Cami Fuster and Ryder Santos making up your top 10 though. But Eli Warren, what happened to him, Caleb? He was right there on the back end of Alexander Kardashian and fighting with Jerry Fandry, and then we hit about lap 4 or lap 5, as we're probably going to see some replays here in a couple of moments' time, as that's the man that he tried to beat, Alexander Kardashian. But really, really weird for War Power Racing and that Burrell Art machine for Eli Warren. Him and his dad Keith will definitely be hitting the chalkboard tonight, really the drawing board, if you will, to figure that part out. There is your top 15 drivers from Heat 1. Like you see there, Alexander Kardashian for AMK Race Products on board that comp kart chassis, leading the way and has a big, big confidence boost going into tomorrow. And he will most likely be helping his other comp kart teammates, Connor Fashing and Kira Slide, down in 6th and 8th, trying to get their way up the field for a all-Minnesota team here at 206 Senior for the AMK Race Products crew. As, yeah, you have to think, as Eli Warren comes out of his car, shakes his head, what happened to the 597 there as the final 2 karts on the grid, as we start gearing up for the Mini Swift class up next for their one and only heat race of the day. Caleb, it started off a bit promising, but as Mini Swift starts to roll onto grid, like you said, Alexander Kardashian taking that win, as we'll be going through the grid order for BBS Race Engine Development Mini Swift.
Yeah, so starting on pole position there for the Edoff Racing, Burrell Art is going to be Tucker Tree. Starting on pole position to the outside is going to be Cameron Johnson in P number 2. Jacob Majewski for Franklin starts in the 3rd position, with AJ Stoner for AMAX Racing in P4. Alyssa Eddy will start in P5 on the PSL karting. And then starting in the 6th position is going to be Slayton Baldick, starting in, like I said, P6. P7 goes to Michael Tanaps. Help me out here, sorry.
It's a new name to Route 66, so I'm not sure on that one, Caleb. Probably just call him Michael Tanat.
In P7. So if you are the driver of the Kart 101 or part of the team, please do help us out here. Billy McKay starts in P8, Rhett Johnson in P9, and then Owen Gashoni starts in the 10th position. So they are now going to make their way through the cut through and head over to the oval before they get set to go here shortly. As they make their way out, and I'll tell you what, they're pacing kind of fast. So you have to slow it down before they get to the tram lines. I saw one call off earlier today with the micro Swifts. Let's see if the minis, if they can get a green. Very fast start. Let's see if they throw the green. They do, heading down the back straightaway into the front stretch into turn number 1. They're going to go door to door, make their way over to turn 3 now.
Yeah, there's a bit of contact there between some of the drivers further back, as that'll be Tucker Trebe leading the way out in front for the AR Racing Academy Brill Art Machine. Cameron Johnson and Jacob Majeski not getting the jumps they would have won. I think they dropped back to 3rd and 4th there. We'll have to see once we cut to this back straight camera. Alyssa Eddy on the PSL karting machine number 100 is up into 2nd. So a driver we've seen do very well in Cup Karts North America competition. Up into 2nd now in Mini Swift, so good to see for her as the reigning champion in Micro. Slayton Baldock down in the 6th position as they come across the line yet again. All 6 drivers are all right there on each other, so this should be a good one to watch for these BBS Race Engine Development Mini Swifts.
Yeah, so Tucker Trebe is going to lead the way here on that Burrell arc, going down over into turns 5 and 6, heading over to 7. Oh, a little bit of attempted pass there for the 2nd position. Majeski tries it again. They're still door to door going over, and now they're going to try to shake it up again. Trebe got stuck on the outside, and now they're all going to get bunched up going over into turns 9 and 10.
Yeah, Alyssa Eddy tried to go for the win there, was unable to do so, and now this top 5 battle pack is really going for it. AJ Stoner up the inside of, that was Jacob Majeski, I believe, as Cameron Johnson has fallen away from this battle pack. I don't know what's happened to him, but you gotta think that he will be right back on there as Tucker Trebe continues to lead from Alyssa Eddy, AJ Stoner, Jacob Majeski, and Slayton Baldock, your top 5 in BBS Race Engine Development Mini Swift. As up the inside, Stoner tries a move on Alyssa Eddy, unable to get it done there, as Alyssa Eddy is holding on strong there in P2. Jacob Majeski now getting past AJ Stoner. They're swapping positions like there's no tomorrow. Majeski up the inside again, but Alyssa Eddy does her first Slim Shady of the weekend around the outside for her and continues to hold on to that 2nd position. AJ Stoner all sorts of sideways to the chicane before the Daytona corner, holds on to it and keeps it out of the grass there, Caleb. That was a really sketchy moment there for AJ Stoner.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that 2nd group, the more they go back and forth like that, it's allowing Tucker Trebe to pull away from the field, as now Majeski trying it again and not able to work out for Majeski to get around. I believe that was Alyssa Eddy again. Now into turn 2. They're still going to stay out in front, nose to tail, and I think now they might settle in just a little bit. I say that, but Majeski now able to get around Alyssa Eddy. He was working on that one for the past couple of laps, so Majeski up to the 2nd position. And I'll tell you what, you're going to have to keep your head down here. You got less than 10 laps to go to run down Tucker Trebe, someone who's proven and shown to run up in front at the regional and national circuit. So now, as they almost for a moment got settled in there, AJ Stoner tried it again to see if he couldn't get around. I believe that may have been Baldock in the 4th position. I'll tell you what, AJ Stoner's been, he's from the front of the pack, is the back of the pack, and he has gone aggressive from the start, and he is now able to get around Baldock. So now count AJ Stoner up 1 more position.
Yeah, AJ Stoner doing well to recover from a couple of mistakes earlier on in the race. Tucker Trebe is doing so well out in front here on that 122 machine. It might be a nitro card. I'm not quite sure what he's on. I believe it's a nitro, but he's been receiving a lot of help from KA100 Senior champion from Route 66 last year, Austin Jers, who is not racing this year in Route 66. Unfortunately, did race the United States Pro Kart Series round at Millwright Raceway, and had an amazing weekend for him. Unfortunately, DNF'd from the second lap after really dominating the weekend in one of the most closely contested KA100 Senior fields we've seen this season. But obviously the knowledge wearing off on Tucker Treve out in front by 1.4 seconds as Cameron Johnson has caught up to the back end of Slayton Baldock, your reigning champion in Micro Swift from last year, is now AJ Stoner. The driver's been working up the field, is trying to get his way past Alyssa Eddy, who was holding strong out in second for the longest time, and is now having to defend off Stoner for third as Cameron Johnson up the inside of Slayton Baldock there, just out of shot. Got himself into the top 5. As you see, really the rest of this top 6 battle on this cam at the back half of the circuit. No moves being made for the time being, Caleb, maybe because they got a little passed out from the amount of passing they had in the early parts of this race. But if this is anything to go by for the rest of the weekend, Mini Swift is going to be a one to watch for sure.
Yeah, and I think this battle for second, third, and fourth is going to heat up here, so we can stay with it as AJ Stoner tried it again to get around Alyssa Eddy. Just couldn't quite get his nose all the way up on the inside there to make the move. And Tucker Treve is starting to set sail, so maybe we can just focus on this battle here in that second group with Jacob Majewski leading that one. And then, like we said, Alyssa Eddy, AJ Stoner, that has been the 3 that have been working hard so far as your leader 1.8, almost 2 seconds ahead. There's the battle in question. We're trying to see if we can't follow. That is your second, third, and fourth. As this is, I'll tell you what, this is an impressive shot. I believe that may be Stuart working the cam remote. It's on a gimbal system, and it's hard to keep track of. So it may seem like it's wonky, but I'll tell you what, it's really impressive and difficult to do. So thank you guys for that awesome shot here. It's actually Xander Clements working it, so he's learned it. As here comes AJ Stoner in the second position for Majewski now, heading over into the bank corner. So now Majewski holding on to the position for the moment as AJ Stoner might try it. As there it was up on the inside. AJ Stoner moves up one more position to P3, able to get around Eddy. And now we're going to see if possibly, I think that maybe Cameron Johnson as well up in that mix, might try to make their way through.
Yeah, Cameron Johnson, after falling back on the start, is able to make his way further up the field and really fight in this top 6 battle. We're having an incredible battle here in Mini Swift. Yeah, Tucker Treve is really checked out from the rest of the drivers, and Jacob Majewski is probably going to do the same in the next couple of laps, but AJ Stoner is not going to be able to get Cameron Johnson off the back end of his car easily. Alyssa Eddy's been doing wonderful this race for a driver who was struggling in Micro Swift last year, making the move up into Mini Swift and really showing some really good pace at the United States Pro Kart Series around last weekend in Wisconsin, and obviously that is wearing off here as Slayton Baldock behind, like we said, champ from Micro last season, but yeah, just battle really starting to die down here, Caleb. Not a whole lot to talk about except for what the game plan is for these drivers heading forward and towards the back end of this race, which we really are getting to as we have about 6 or so laps to go at this point. You have to think, if you're a driver behind like AJ Stoner and Cameron Johnson, you're really weighing up your competition, see where you're better than the driver in front of you if you don't think you're able to catch up to Jacob Majewski, which really I don't know if these two will be able to unless they really work together. But Caleb, AJ Stoner seems really, really adamant on getting past Cam Johnson.
Yeah, I think at this point, Stoner doesn't really want to work with the competitors around him. He kind of just wants to get to the front and then let everyone else work themselves through, which is a old school mindset that we've seen here before. It does work if you do have a fast kart. Stoner is incredibly competitive, especially on that Coyote under the AMAX Racing 10, and he's been kind of just cutting his way through. But I think that's going to be the battle that we need to watch, is the one between AJ Stoner and Johnson as well, Cameron Johnson there in that third position, because like you said, AJ's just been all over the map. He's not afraid to put his nose in. I think everyone knows it now.
Yeah, absolutely, and AJ is hounding the back end of Cameron Johnson as Jacob Majewski isn't able to pull away as much as he would have wanted. As we thought AJ Stoner was going to make this move earlier on Cameron Johnson, but they seem to be working fairly well. Slayton Baldock does there get past Alyssa Eddy for the 5th spot for Slayton, who's been getting some help from Bryce Merceberger throughout this year. So the defending micro champion looking to get a back-to-back like Cameron Marcia did last year between the two cadet divisions, but it's going to be a difficult one because what a stacked field we have in a Mini Swift this year. Just a few more laps to go, and Jacob Majeski would like to see that checkered flag sooner rather than later because he's got Cameron Johnson and AJ Stoner hounding his back end, and we are going defensive already. We're Whiteland and in Mini in Heat 1 of all places as they are really going for it now in the back half of the section. The two Franklin Motorsports drivers are trying to get past Jacob Majeski as they go into the turn 7 hairpin, now into turn 8 onto the back straightaway as AJ Stoner did get past Cameron Johnson there and has one more kart until he can get free air on that Lando Norris OTK chassis for AJ Stoner. Through the Daytona corner they go into the hairpin at turn 12, late on the brakes as Stoner. Majeski might try the over-under. He's unable to because he's going to have the outside for turn 13 and 14. It's really hard to defend that position when you're on the outside out of that hairpin as AJ Stoner finally, in terms of his race, able to get past these two. But Caleb, the two Franklin Motorsports drivers are not going to let this one go easily as up the inside goes Jacob Majeski.
Yeah, so Majeski goes back up onto the point. These three just aren't content on settling anywhere. They all want to be up in that second spot. We'll start in the front row here for the pre-final tomorrow. AJ Stoner, who we know is not afraid to be aggressive and take any opportunity that's presented, as Majeski goes back up to the second position. Pulls away just a little bit there from Stoner, but I think actually pulls a decent amount out of turn 8, so it's going to open up about 2 kart lengths, and I think he can take just a little bit of a breath now because Johnson catches up to the back bumper of Stoner. Stoner sends it up the inside here last time, now content for staying in that middle position now as they are going to bunch back up into the inner hairpin. Does Stoner try it here? He does not, but he might try to sneak a nose in as he's setting up for a possible pass into turn 2. 2 laps are shown that last time by to Tucker Trebe, the leader right now, 4 seconds clear. This is the battle for the second spot. You'd think it would be for the win with these three for how quickly they've been going back and forth with each other. Over into turn 3 now. Heading into the 4 and 5 complex. Let's see if Stoner tries it here on the inside. Looks like no. And now Stoner's going to set up for a crossover. So he goes wide, holds that inside line. He's going to try a crossover again. Majeski just a little bit lower. Not able to completely defend the position as he's going to follow now. AJ Stoner, that is on the back bumper of Majeski. And just like that, Nate, nose to tail, the 3R coming over the south side hairpin. Does Stoner try it here? He sets him up for it. Late on the brakes. And he is up to P2. AJ Stoner up one more position. But Nate, I think this is far from over.
Yeah, indeed. It is far from over. White flag in the air this time by one more circuit of Whiteland Raceway Park to finish off their day. AJ Stoner has a mountain to climb if he wants to try and defend from these two Franklin Motorsport drivers behind him. Up the inside, that's AJ Stoner defending, but up the inside, Majeski tries it. He's going to have the help from Cam Johnson. Those two are going to be working together. It's a 1v2 at the moment. Around the outside, potentially for Majeski, no, but it's a crossover to get it done. He defends it. AJ Stoner's going to try the crossover. Cameron Johnson really just got that all messed up there. Thought about those two might wash wide or something, but Cam Johnson not getting that one right. Now, AJ Stoner has a bit of a gap, but has 2 karts barreling down on him into turn 12. He made the move on these guys twice into this corner there. Not going to be able to do it. Last real opportunity is turn 14, and it's a sketchy pass to try and get done. Through there they go. They're not close enough. Tucker Trebe's going to take the win, but looking at these 3 now, AJ Stoner is going to take second. Then it's Jacob Majeski, Cameron Johnson in 4th, and then Slayton Baldock rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, and give credit to where it's due. Tucker Trebe ran a phenomenal race. 5.2 seconds cleared of the closest competitor of AJ Stoner in second. We don't want to discredit that win at all. It was just heating up for an intense battle there for the second position. So that will do it for your Mini Swift. Tucker Trebe taking the win. AJ Stoner P2. Jacob Majeski in 3rd. Tucker Trebe 1. AJ Stoner 2. Majeski 3. Cameron Johnson 4th. And Slayton Baldock rounds out your top 5. Up next, we're going to switch over to a little bit older division. Your 206 Juniors are set to take their way for their heat race. Following that, we get into one of the highlight events, the KA100 Seniors, as we're going to watch the replays here throughout that entire exciting Mini Swift event.
Yeah, and you could almost show the entire race on the highlight package because that's how it went. It was a race full of action. You see Alyssa Eddy was defending for her life in the opening stages of the race after getting a really, really good jump off the start. AJ Stoner turned a mistake into an opportunity there, trying to get past Alyssa Eddy as Stoner made the move there on the 100 Burrell Art Racing machine with PSL, as AJ Stoner was a man on a mission this entire race, was making a few mistakes here and there that made his life definitely a lot harder than it needed to be, but in the end of the day, getting the job done on the rest of the field, and just has Tucker Treve to try and beat, which, like you said, Caleb, credit where credit is due. He ran an amazing race getting up the inside of that would be Jacob Majeski here, is that AJ Stoner, and defended hard going into the final circuit of the race, as Majeski and Johnson, with their combined knowledge and running on the same team, were not able to get the job done there on AJ Stoner. But now, Caleb, on to the Briggs 206 Juniors presented by AMK Race Products. 206 racing here is always a very fun affair, so looking forward to this one, as you're going to probably run us through the lineup for who we got on track.
Yes, and we are going to start with your pole sitter. Christopher Utzi starts on the inside of row number 1. Brady Shad starts on the outside. Braden DeMont will start in P3 with Jake Fieber in the 4th spot. Max Kraus is going to start in P5 with Colin Eddy in 6th. Shane Reddy will start in 7th with Blake Tarshia in the 8th spot. Tyler Johnson will start 9th. Evan Wallen will start 10th. Thomas Anthony in 11th. Ethan Leroy in 12th. Miles Fordery in 13th. Jackson Miller 14th. Giovanni Vasquez in 15th, and Nico Santos is going to start in 16th, as we are green down in, or sorry, we're going to send it one more time around through the cut through they go over into the oval section here. So running over all the broken eggs that we had here from the egg toss yesterday, as we still have more fun activities coming your guys' way later on this afternoon. And Nate Dean is going to take him down to the green flag, and I believe Xander Clements is down to get some interviews here for KA coming along soon. But Nate Dean, let's take him to the green.
Yeah, Christopher Utzi really getting them slowed down there a lot better the second time around, almost coming to a standstill as they get into tram lines. Green flag, and away we go for 206 Junior. Christopher Utzi leading the way as Braden Domont trying to get past Brady Shad, who holds his position, the winner from last year. Could try it around the outside of Utzi, over under for Shad, getting the job done, but for how long? Utzi takes the lead back as they are all battling here in the opening couple of corners of AMK Race Products 206 Junior. Down the back straight they go. It is Utzi leading Brady Shad, and right behind Braden Domont is up, and Shane Reddy trying to go too wide through the Daytona corner. Now, Shad taking the lead away from Utzi, who now has Braden Domont right behind him, and Max Kraus. How about that for the 314? A driver who really struggled last year to find pace is now in a podium fight for the 314 of Max Kraus. How about it? And that's amazing to see for him. Further back, Jack Fieber and Franklin Motorsports down in 5th, and Colin Eddy and Tyler Johnson even further back. But we're looking at this front battle for the time being, as that is Tyler Johnson, Evan Benoit, Thomas Anthony, and Shane Reddy, your top 10 last time across the stripe. But however, out in front, your top 4 have remained unchanged since they came across the stripe last time by. Coming through the chicane this time, Braden Domont pushing Brady Shad on the Franklin Motorsports Millwright Racing Merlin for him. And we saw at the CKNA Spring Nationals, Braden Domont, a really, really good drafting partner, very able to push. But a late move from Christopher Utzi is going to disrupt the status quo out in front. Utzi is going to want to get back, because we have an RBF 4-1 driver. I think that's the 307. So that is Tyler Johnson getting a rolled up black flag there on the digital board we have here for Whiteland Raceway Park. Brady Shad, though, able to build a little bit of a gap to the drivers behind, but Utsi, this is his home track. We know the Borrells go very, very well in motorcycle competition and here at Whiteland Raceway Park. So it shouldn't be too much longer until we see Utsi really battling for position there on Brady Schad. Braden Domont dropping back a little bit with Max Kraus. But those two, along with the help from the draft, and now the front two getting bunched up back together, should be in that battle for the win in no time. Through the old section of the track, through turn 14, Caleb, and it is still bumper to bumper to bumper racing. The old adage in commentating, you can throw a blanket over these top 4. Some close racing in the early stages of 206 Junior, and I sure hope we're going to be getting this for the rest of the weekend and for the rest of this Heat 1.
Yeah, so top 4 pretty much stacked up here as they go over into the 5-6 complex. Your 4th placement, though, of Max Kraus, falling off just a little bit from the top 3, but very different from what we saw earlier with your mini racing, where it was a huge gap, and especially from the other 206 class, the 206 Senior, where we saw the leaders absolutely spread out and pull away from each other. But right now we're watching Brady Schad, who started in that 2nd position, able to get around the pole sitter of Christopher Utsi. Utsi still sitting right on the back bumper of Schad as they make their way through turn number 12, also known as the south side hairpin. But top 4, nose to tail, bumper to bumper, making their way now into the inside hairpin. Up the hill they go. We are less than 10 laps to go. 9 laps remain at the line. Schad is going to lead the way again, and I'll tell you what, from what we saw earlier today, it seems like halfway through is the starting point when you start defending your line. Normally you don't see that till 1, the feature, and 2, to the last 5 laps, but it seems like everyone's not really afraid to start whitelining it through here, which kind of just brings more competitors into the field of view. We haven't seen that a whole lot here with the 206 Juniors just yet, but Max Kraus in the 4th position has caught back up to the top 3 as they go on the back straightaway heading towards turns 9 and 10.
Yeah, and RBF for Evan Benoit down in 8th, the 3:05 last time across the stripe. Didn't catch what happened to him, excuse me, but as we've been watching this incredible lead battle as they make their way through one of the 2 hairpins on the old circuit, now into the inner hairpin is Christopher Utsi, still hounding the back end of Brady Schad out in front, and then that is still Braden Domont in 3rd. Max Kraus is in 4th. And still, Caleb, that top 4 are just waiting for their moment. I guess it's the right thing to say there, Caleb. If you start battling a bit too early, then the likes of, that'll be Jack Feber and Colin Eddy, will reel themselves back in. Of course, if you're in that battle for the lead, you're going to be wanting to make it a 4-kart battle instead of a 6-kart battle, and I think these drivers are definitely smart enough to know that. But one thing noticing there, out of turn 8, Brady Schad and Christopher Utsi building a little bit of gap to Braden Domont. Domont getting the best of runs out of the hairpin that leads them onto the back straight, but still a lot of laps to go here, Caleb. Still anyone's game at the moment, so we'll see how this has to end up.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing as well. You're talking about that gap between the top 2 and the second 2 inside the top 4. It seems that Max Kraus, that is in the 4th position, he kind of fades away from that top 3 and then brings it back in. So I don't think it's a matter of Braden Domont not being able to stay with the top 2. I think it's him not having a push. There's already that gap there. It's hard to build it back up in this 206 class. Yes, he does have the draft, but having the draft and a push goes way farther than just having one or the other. So I feel like if he had a little bit of assistance there, he could stay up in that top 3 more consistently. But right now, he's kind of just hoping for the draft to keep him into it right now. And what he's really hoping for is Utsi to get impatient and try to make a pass on Brady Schad. But I'll let you know, as far as the racing we've seen today, this seems to be a lot more calmer, I think is the right word I want to use here. This is the correct word to use in this situation, as opposed to we're not seeing anyone throw it down the inside anytime it happens to have an opportunity arise. It's mostly just these guys waiting until they see either 2.6 to go, they think it's within 5 laps, but it's kind of been stagnant all the way through with inside this top 4.
Yeah, I think you're right with the comments about this has been fairly, I'm about to say that it's been nice and quiet, but Braden Domont goes up the inside of Christopher Utsi there. But they haven't, like you said, they haven't been just battling for position just for no reason. These drivers are smart. They know that they would bring a lot of this field into that battle. So just leave it for the end of the race, leave it for the last 3 or 4 laps and go then, but try and build as big of a gap to the rest of the field as you can. And like you said, they've just been racing very, very smart for these 206 juniors. And Brady Shad, the driver who won here last year for round 3, out in front, continuing to lead the way on board his Merlin chassis. Behind him, Braden Domont and Christopher Utzi and Max Kraus. Again, cannot give enough credit to Kraus and the turnaround he's had in pace in the past 12 months. Doing incredible out in front, and hopefully we could see him on the podium at the end of the weekend. But still, a lot of racing left to go. Caleb, is these top 4 are still just waiting for their moment at the end of the race. Kraus is starting to drop back a little bit. Same with Utzi through the last couple of corners, but still, the draft will keep you in that game that Brady Shad and Braden Domont seem to be at the head of as they make their way into the outer hairpin now.
Yeah, and like you were saying too, about Domont getting up into that second position, I think that was kind of, he had to do that because Utsi got crossed over coming out of turn 2. I think Domont knew to keep the momentum up, he had to take one more position. It didn't really separate the field a whole lot, but like you were talking about with Kraus, still doing that accordion effect. He'll fade away a little bit, and they'll get brought right back up into it. And as it looks now, I thought for a moment Domont tried, yep, there it is. Domont now up onto points. So Brady Domont is going to take the lead. Now here comes Utsi up on the inside. Utsi saw an opportunity to pounce and he took it. So now Brady Shad goes from the lead back to 3rd. Here comes Max Kraus now up into the field of view. Now back on the inside. There goes Shad back up into P2. So Shad falls back net 1 position now as opposed to the 2 that he had. And Utsi settles down into that 3rd position as well. So the top 3 still nose to tail. Kraus not too far back. 3 laps to go when they cross the stripe. And let's see if that kind of set the alarm off for everyone else to try to go back and forth for as many positions as they can. So it's still Domont out in front after making that pass going into turn number 2 as they make their way up the hill. 3 laps to go this time by 11 out of 14 complete as they make their way into turn 2 again. And let's see if maybe Shad tries to take the position back into turn 2. No, he's going to stay in line, but Utsi now trying to experiment that inside line, threw it in early, and I think he might be trying to size up Brady Shad for an opportunity for that 2nd position. Over into 5 and 6 they go through the double lefts and heading over into turn 7, and it looks like a lot calmer than we saw previous lap, but I'll tell you what, next time by when the double 6 in the air, I think that's going to be game on for these top 4.
Yeah, I mean, when you said double 6 in the air there, it feels like this race has gone by so quick for how much action we've had in this 206 Junior. This is only Heat 1. This isn't a pre-final. This isn't a final. This is their first race of the weekend, and they're battling like this. So great to see from the MK Race Products 206 Junior drivers. As you said there, Braden Domont out in front leading the way. Doesn't have a win in Route 66 competition, so he's going to want to be adding to that tally. Brady Shad and Christopher Utsi both do. Max Kraus, another driver in that 4-car train, looking for their first win of their Route 66 careers. That will come Sunday, though, as Colin Eddy is out in the exit of turn 13 on the inside there. It doesn't look like that was a spin or anything. Might have just been a mechanical issue. So unfortunate for the Burrell Art driver of Colin Eddy. He is out early of this race, but back out in front. Braden Domont leading the way over Brady Shad, Christopher Utsi, and Max Kraus, who again is starting to fall back ever so slightly from that lead pack. And you to lead the way is Braden Domont. Not a lot to say so far. He's run an excellent race. Same goes for Brady Shad as they make their way past the stricken cart of Colin Eddy. I believe will be this time 2 sticks in the air from Mick Gallagher. It is, as Braden Domont, Caleb, seems very comfortable out in front for a driver who doesn't have I believe a major regional or national race win against Brady Shad, who's been driving for the longest time. I feel like I've seen that kid driving since kid karts. So both of those drivers will obviously be battling very hard. It's a move and a half up the inside from Brady Shad. Domont's gonna fight it back. Yotzi up the inside, and just like that in 206 racing, it's first to to 4th for him, that being Braden Domont. And now Max Kraus up into 3rd. Brady Shad, Caleb, leading the way as it'll be white flag in the air this time by as we're going defensive.
Yeah, Brady Shad already holding that inside line over into the south side hairpin at turn 12. Now up the hill they go into the inner hairpin. Shad defending again. Yutzi not trying to make a move, but it looked like there for a moment Max Kraus not too happy as I believe that was Yutzi that was able to get right back by him as the white flag being shown now. One more time to go as they're heading down into turn number 1. Shot on the defensive. Yutzi trying to open back up to see if he can't cross him over. Domont there in the 3rd position. He's trying it, but not quite close enough to make a move happen. So still Shad in P1. Does Yutzi try to dive bomb here, which I didn't think we were going to see any passing over to turn 7. Now it's been defense after pass. Now a possible crossover to go. They're still side by side. Yutzi out in the marbles. So Yutzi is now going to go all the way to the back as they go side by side, looking like a pace lap here over through the chicane crossover. Somehow made it stick. And how about that? Out in front now is Domont. Shad up on the inside, door to door. Shad now is going to have the outside line. Domont's going to have the inside defensive. Here comes Max Kraus up into P2. Does he go one more? No, but he is going to settle into P2. So Domont is going to come home with the win. Kraus brings it home into P2.
Hi, waiter, I'll take 2 more of those, please, for tomorrow. How about that from 206 Junior? And what a race from Braden Domont after getting shuffled back on a late dive bomb from Brady Shad. That was a brilliant pass, by the way. Down in turn 7, comes back to take the win. Max Kraus, take your hat off to that. That was an incredible run for him. Then Christopher Yutzi, Brady Shad, and Jack Bieber, your top 5. What an amazing race for 206 Junior. And with KA100 Senior on deck, the action is going to continue here on Kart Chaser. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to tune in for tomorrow. Here's the replay package from what we had in AMK Race Products 206 Junior, the first heat. And really, you can see the top 4 there did not change throughout the race. It was that 4 in the battle pack as Brady Shad making a move on Christopher Yutzi up the inside in turn 12. Braden Domont following him through. Then Yutzi tried his revenge into turn 12. Wasn't able to get it done there as much as he would have wanted. And it stayed like this for a lot of the race, didn't it, Caleb? But Brady Shad leading the way, then it was Yutzi and Domont as that was the moment where Domont got past for 2nd. And then it felt like from this point on, it really started to break loose as Domont went for the lead here.
Yeah, when Domont took that position away, I think that was kind of an indication because Shad knew that he was up there as they still went door to door. And then everyone's just trying to recoup at that point what they had lost. I mean, Shad and Yutzi were 1 and 2 for the longest time. And then Domont gets his nose up there for the lead. It was almost like Yutzi and Shad kind of looked in confusion there for a moment. How about this? Defending into turn 7. You and I talked earlier today, I think yesterday, not one time did the idea of battling into turn 7 cross our mind, and everyone's throwing it left and right through there, which sets up for beautiful, for us at least, beautiful passing opportunities on the exit of turn 8, and they went side by side 2 deep over through the chicane in the crossover. And we'll slow it down here. Look at how close they are to losing it. If you go over that little crack there on that left-hand or right-hand side of your screen, you're almost guaranteed to go off into the grass. And they all took it right out to the outside line and made it stick through there.
Yeah, and then how about this for a race finish? Braden Domont putting the thumbs up. He knew that was good. Max Kraus shaking his nodding his head there. Excuse me. What a race it was for the 314 drivers. We will be having the main event, KA100 Senior, on track next. There's your results from that race with Braden Domont and Max Kraus. Your top 2 from that one. And we'll be starting on the front row for the pre-final tomorrow. But Caleb, Millwright Incorporated, KA100 Senior, is on deck next. Run through a little bit of the grid as they're starting to get those engines fired in probably just a few minutes here. Eli Warren on pole position for War Power Racing with Alexander Kardashian will start alongside each other. Then Jonathan Kotek and Charlie Steins will be on the 2nd row. Outside of those 2 rows, you have Luke Powers, Adam Maxwell, Lucas Klemek, Vaughn Beasley, Michael Levitt, and Giovanni Santora in 10th. And you have Bryce Mersberger, Nicholas DeFillo, Mason Surgener, and Charles Ropke, your top 15 drivers in KA100 Senior.
Yeah, so that will do it for the field. And one thing we need to touch up on, Lane Gibbs, who had that incident over in turn number 8, who normally was running up in the front of the group, was set to go out inside the top 5 on that MPG KR, finds himself all the way back down in the 24th position. So he is going to have his work cut out for him. We saw it earlier today with 206 Senior with Adam Maxwell, who's set to start in the 6th position. He did the same thing at 206. We had to start dead in Charlie and cut his way up through the field as they are now making their way out on track. And I'll tell you what, it is going to be teammates are going to play a factor, I think, but there's a lot of individuals up there without teammates. You want to talk about Jonathan starting in the 3rd position. He is the lone Techno-Kart, that's what it is. I was about to say Tippy Tech, but that was all right. Techno-Kart inside that top 5. Charlie Stein's one of the lone Top Kart USA entries there in P4. And then Luke Powers, obviously teammates to Eli Warren, is going to start 2 or 3 rows back. And Alexander Kardashian, one of the lone comp karts up inside that top 10. And he's starting his GoPro. I thought he had a little issue there for a second. He's just making sure that GoPro started so we can look over all of his data this afternoon. And I'll tell you what, those onboard footages inside that field are probably going to be very interesting. And I believe we got Xander Clements up in the booth as well with us up here today. Xander, what are you thinking so far?
Well, as you noted, I definitely am better at talking than behind a camera because I think that camera work might go down as one of Kart Chaser's worst earlier with the PTZ cam in the back. But it's been interesting. For as fast of a racetrack as this is, we've seen a lot of breakaways that I didn't really think we would have in some of the other divisions. This one, though, biggest class as you mentioned here, Caleb. And as you mentioned, Nate, it feels like a main event, and we're just getting their first heat underway as Eli Warren takes them through the first corner, and he'll get away with about a car length gap back to Kardashian, who will slot safely to 2nd. Still side by side, it looked like Kotick was able to get into 3rd, and they'll work their way to the back switchback hairpins, and it stacks up nearly 3 and 4 wide further back. But it looks like, Nate, so far, so good. We've got all the field together and onto the backstretch.
Yeah, Eli Warren will not be happy with how his race went at 206 Senior, and now roles are reversed in the 2-cycle side of things. He's going to be wanting revenge on Alexander Kardashian, and he leads the way into turn 12. Kardashian and Kotek got side by side out of the opening couple of corners. It looks like that could have opened things up for Eli Warren a bit more, but Alexander Kardashian is on the back bumper of that War Power racing machine, and in a couple of laps time, we might see a move on it. Further back in the pack, Charlie Stein, Powers, Maxwell, Clemick, Levitt, and Santora. Beasley is your top 10, but you can see there Caleb Xander is starting to really gain on Eli Warren and is right there on the back end of the Red Speed OTK, battling for the lead as they'll make their way onto the back straight in a couple of corners time.
Yeah, so like we saw with Eli Warren earlier, he had a great start and faded away in the 206 division. Now with KA, had a great jump around the on the inside there into turns 1 and 2, was able to get a little bit of a gap. But now we're starting to see a 2-pack start to form up, Kardashian P2, and then that second group being led by Charlie Steins in 4th, followed by Powers, Maxwell, and Clemick. That one also starting to get a little tight, and if they go back and forth, it's going to be a little bit of a break between the top 2 and the rest of the field, Xander.
And checking with Eli Warren and his dad on the grid, I went down and wondered, hey, what was going on in that 206 Senior heat where he dropped like a rock, as there's one more driver with a hand in the air and bailing out early here, it looks like, with the mechanical issue. One of the OTK entries headed into the scale line early. That is the 925.
Vaughn Beasley.
Vaughn Beasley out on the Pro Kart Concept supported OTK, so he goes to behind the wall. The rest of the field underway, but for Eli Warren, the axle had shifted throughout the session, and the brake was starting to drag, and it continuously got worse and worse. We saw at the beginning he was close to Xander Kardashian, then faded behind Jerry Fandry, and then really it got worse in the final stages of that opening heat. So, like you guys mentioned, he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder to make up for that here in the second heat race for him of the day, first in KA Senior. And that's one of the nice parts, Nate, of running 2 classes, is you can kind of have a bittersweet day where if one goes bad, well, the other one you still have a fair shot. And right now, he's making the most of it as we come to put 3 laps in the books.
Yeah, and it's more data collection too, right, of having double the track time. Interesting you say that about Eli Warren. The exact same thing happened in practice earlier on in the day, so a bit of work to be done for that Burrell Art machine, but these two out in front, Eli Warren and Alexander Kardashian, have raced each other hard all throughout last year. You think back to Newcastle Motorsports Park, the opening round of the 2023 season, when it was those two battling for the win on the final lap of the race, and they have quite the gap between themselves and Charlie Steins out in third. And then Luke Powers, Jonathan Kotek, and Adam Maxwell have really fallen back. That was a big save from Adam Maxwell as him and Kotek tried to go side by side through the chicane. You really can't do that. And now Michael Levitt, a driver who's been so quick in TSRS competition, up the inside there, unable to get it done on Adam Maxwell as he's going to have Santora right behind him as they cross the line yet again. Eli Warren still, though, Caleb, out in front, leading the way, being very calm, cool, and collected for a driver who's only in his second season of full-time senior racing against a driver who has multiple national championships, multiple regional championships, and a driver who's been up there in the likes of the Super Nats last season.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Charlie Steins there in that third position. I was checking an eye on his lap times. He made up 2/10 on both leaders that last time by, and he's slowly making his way up to the field of view. He's left that second pack of Luke Powers and the rest of that entire company as well. So we could see Charlie Steins slowly making his way back up there. Got to pick up a little bit more time. Kardashian and Warren aren't battling back and forth, but I think Steins, just looking at the lap times, is running about 2/10 quicker than both out in front.
Yeah, a bit of a different color blue for Charlie Steins. We're used to seeing him on the Kart Chaser broadcast running in Pro Shifter for the Factory Fury GP kart group. But aboard the top kart, he's rolling pretty fast right now towards the leaders. Kardashian got even closer to Eli, it looked like in turn 2 than he had the last couple laps. He's been stalking him, but he hasn't poked the nose out yet, and he doesn't need to for a little while. We're still yet to hit that halfway mark. On the other end, though, while Charlie Steins has marched forward, Jonathan Kotick, we saw him there earlier fend off Adam Maxwell. He still rides right now in that 5th position behind Luke Powers, but the Technokart driver seems to be struggling a little bit. I want to say, though, this is such a great angle at that massive bump in the chicane leading into the Monza corner, the big Daytona banking here at Whiteland. And as fast as the KA Seniors are, I mean, they are all yawed out sideways, full beans through the bus stop chicane, and it is so fun to watch every single driver there. And you can see as we go further back to the field, the guys up front handling that little slide a little better than some a bit further down the leaderboard. But working lap 7 here, Eli Warren has stayed consistent and he has picked the pace up, but so has Steins. Another 2/10 locked off the gap. Last time by Nate, he's within a second, and he's about to be probably within the drafting window when they hit the backstretch this time.
I was just about to mention that Alexander Kardashian isn't a driver to look back often, but you see there on the broadcast, he looks back and sees the Top Kart USA driver of Charlie Steins reeling him in lap by lap, and Steins really could be a contender for the win here if these two don't pick it up. Eli Warren is obviously giving it 110%. Alexander Kardashian has not been close enough to really make a move, and look at how close he is. Charlie Steins is reeling in these front two as they come across the stripe. Halfway signal this time by is Charlie Steins. Seems like he's really a contender now, making their way through turn 2 into what is this new section, turn 3, the really tight technical part of it before you get onto the back straight. This is going to be interesting to see the gaps next time across the stripe to see how much inroads Charlie Steins has made on the leaders of Eli Warren and Alexander Kardashian. Those two we see so much in Route 66 competition. We don't see Steins nearly as much as we would want as they make their way through the Daytona corner now, Caleb. It'll be interesting to see in just a couple of corners time how much inroads Steins has made, because he was only 7/10 away last time across the stripe, and he can smell the exhaust now coming out of the 9:55, of Alexander Kardashian.
Yeah, he's definitely been picking up the pace, and even as Eli Warren and Kardashian been dropping time, he's been right there as well. He slows it down a little bit more than what he's been dropping, about a 10th faster as opposed to the 2, but whatever draft you can get from a KA, he's about to get it off the back of Kardashian. And like you said, Kardashian's been looking back. Laps are starting to wind down, about 2 laps over halfway. It's going to be 3 over this next time by as Kardashian looks up on the inside of 7, and I think that's going to bunch him back up over into 8. And just like that, Charlie Steins makes a 3-car tango for the lead here, Xander.
Our first lead change of the heat race coming on lap number 9. We'll come to the line this time to see 5 laps to go, and a 3-driver party up front. It looked like for the last couple laps as well, it was starting to stack up for 4th. Jonathan Kotick has been all over Luke Powers, but he hasn't made a bid for that spot. That's a 4-car train from 4th back to 7th with Powers, Kotick, Clemick, and then Adam Maxwell, who has latched on to the end as well there in 7th, and a big gap behind them. But for the first time recorded across the loop, Alexander Kardashian is your leader, and Charlie Steins continues to chip away at the gap. Last time was the first time all race that he hasn't made up ground on the 2 of them. He obviously got closer to Eli as he faded back, but Kardashian still with a good lap of 50.5. the last time around, and that was enough to open it about a 10th off Charlie, and now about 2 car lengths back to Eli Warren. But watching the 3 of them come through this section, you can see Warren a lot more airtime than the other 2. He's obviously trying to shorten that track up, clip a little bit of the curving, and really make up for potentially a bit of a lack of pace compared to the 2 around him. And it's not by much, but it's just enough. And as you broke it down, Nate, Alexander Kardashian, with the years of experience he has, is not a driver you're going to expect to put a wheel wrong.
No, absolutely not. It'll be very, very... He's probably not going to put a wheel wrong, like you said there, Xander. He's a very, very consistent driver out in front, leading the way of this race. How about Charlie Steins? He was able to reel these 2 in without them battling and just hasn't been able to make any inroads, as Stein, of course, does it there. Up the inside, Charlie Steins gets the move done on Eli Warren. We'll have to see if these 2 can work together in this configuration to try and catch up to the 955 AMK Race Products EOS machine, piloted by Alexander Kardashian. Through the Daytona corner they go, into the outer hairpin of turn 12, and into a very, very tight and technical section of this racetrack that's hard to get right. You have to really trust and lean on that outside rear tire to find the lap time through here. Across the stripe yet again for Alexander Kardashian. 3/10 was the gap. It's now 5/10, but this time it's Charlie Steins behind him instead of Eli Warren. Caleb, you have seen Charlie Steins race a lot more than I have, especially here at Whiteland Raceway Park. He's one of the quicker drivers, of course, but you have to think he's probably going to be reeling his way up to the back end of the 955.
Yeah, definitely one of the younger competitors that's on the up and up right now. And as Xander said too, running shifters as a factory driver for Factory Kart USA. Starting off here at Whiteland Raceway Park, remember when that kiddo was running in juniors when he just got out of cadet. You want to talk about someone who's calm and cool and collective all the way through. That is your guy. If you talk to him on the paddock, you could never assume he was a race car driver because you got to be aggressive. He is always relaxed, and the dude has an eye for data, and I guarantee you he's going to look back tonight, figure out all that he needs to improve on as well, just because he probably is going to be disappointed in the fact he wasn't turning the fastest lap every single time by his end.
Well, that, and I mean, he's also got a great view of Alexander Kardashian's AMK Race Products EOS card here. As much as these heat races are races, they're also test sessions, and for the first time, all of the fast drivers are around each other. So he's getting a great look at where he might be a little better or a little bit worse than Kardashian. With 2 laps to go, it'll be a bit of a tall ask to run down the 955 and get by him. But at the same point, he's going to take away a lot of notes, I'm sure, from following that blue and yellow machine around. And at the same point, you see Eli Warren has dropped even further off the back, and that has been mirrored by fellow War Power Racing driver Luke Powers, who originally got shuffled to the wayside down to 7th. Kotick's now been the one shuffled down to P7, and he's gotten himself back to 6th, but kind of an identical lineup for the 2. Warren at one point early in the race, leading his pack for 1st overall. Powers was 4th, leading the 2nd train. They both have faded to the back of the 2 packs they are in. But under the final lap now, Charlie Steins is going to need a heater here, Nate, if he wants to get close enough for a chance.
Kardashian looked like he defended a little bit out of turn 3 there. Not sure what that was, if he's taking just a different line compared to the rest of the field, but look how close Charlie Steins is. If he's brave and he gets a good exit out of turn 8 and through the chicane of the Daytona corner, he might be on for a last lap dive bomb move into turn 12. He's gaining on him in Daytona corner into turn 12. Kardashian tries to defend a little bit. He's holding on for it for now. Into 14 they'll go. The next real passing opportunity. Steins will have to be late on the brakes through here. Doesn't get it done. Kardashian defends, and he knows the top guard's behind. It might be a drag race to the line, but Kardashian is going to take the win over Charlie Steins. Eli Warren finishes in 3rd with Adam Maxwell and Lucas Clemick, the other AMK Race Products EOS. What a run it was for him in heat number 1. Geese finishes in 5th, a driver who has never stood on a senior major podium in any capacity, so this could be a huge weekend for the 927 Minnesota native. And then Luke Powers, Jonathan Kotek, Michael Levitt, Bryce Mersberger, and Mason Surgener making up the top 10. But the main thing there, Alexander Kardashian taking the win, and 2 other AMK Race Products drivers inside that top 10. A huge day for them. Then Nicholas DeFillo, Giovanni Santora, Grant Vogel, Clay Settles, Charles Roke, Carson Sauter, Braden Rudder, Cale Zimmerman, Lane Gibbs, Wyatt Leslie. As you can see there, the top 15 on screen, making out your top 20 drivers, Caleb.
Yeah, that was just a wild heat race through and through. And how about that for Charlie Steins, able to run down Alexander Kardashian? I think if he had one more lap, it probably would have been when all the action would have happened between those two. But it gets us all more excited. We have to keep reminding ourselves, this is just the first heat. We still got the pre-final and final as we look back at a replay package. That was when Eli Warren took the early lead. There was Charlie Steins in that red suit, blue Top Kart USA, who got shoved to the inside there and had to recoup. You see him back there in the 4th position. That was when Eli Warren had a very strong lead over Kardashian. It seemed like his, I don't know if it was tires, maybe his setup, was just keened more towards going off early. And how about that? Just 25 KA100s barreling their way around the track. That was when the, I believe that
Von Beasley.
Yeah, Von Beasley had to pull off. And again, Von Beasley has not had good luck this entire season. That was the massive save that we saw from Adam Maxwell, going through turns 9 and 10. And then here was when Kardashian started slowly catching up to the back bumper of Warren. And how about that? We said it over and over again. Didn't think anyone would, but turn 7 has been a very popular passing opportunity.
Well, what's nice about it is it's really hard to answer, right? When you get down to the inside there, it's such a slow exit and a quick return where you're back on the inside for the next corner. Charlie obviously taking advantage, going to second there. There's not a lot you can do to kind of combat it, as there we see Elias Baker had also gone out late in the going in the 989. Only a couple unable to finish, though. 24 of the field were all able to cross the line, but it was all chasing that bright yellow and blue EOS cart to the end. And then here, that last lap where Steins got oh so close. You saw him pop the curb a little bit. That hurt the momentum, but he still got right to the rear bumper by the time the checkers flew and just came up a little bit shy of getting a heat race victory. But for Kardashian, that's a sweep on the day, and that is a not as dominant of a run as it was in 206 Senior, but either way, the score charts still show him P1 in both classes, Nate.
Yeah, and Alexander Kardashian has not had a race win at Route 66 for quite some time when it comes to the finals on Sunday, so he's going to be wanting to break that drought here this weekend. Like you said, 2 amazing runs at 206 Senior, and KA100 Seniors will be going live for the next class. This is the Briggs 206 Sportsman out on class. And how about it? Dominic Gaddis, who was so impressive in the 2-cycle competition, will lead them to the green, Caleb, with AJ Stoner, Pearson Gulseth, Danny O'Gara, and Gavin Dyer making up your top 5.
I mean, it feels like it's reminiscent of what we saw earlier in the micro division. Dominic Gaddis, AJ Stoner, and Danny O'Gara. You also have Elam Stoner up in the mix, siblings to AJ Stoner as well. So this one will be also interesting as we are now approaching. We got one more race after this one, and you can't even tell. It seems like the day has just blipped by so far as we are now green into turn number 1. Dominic Gaddis takes the point. How about this? Way up on the inside there. I believe that may have been Gulseth shooting up on the inside there for that 4th position, trying to see if they can't make it stick. But as of right now, Dominic Gaddis out in front. AJ Stoner falls back to 3rd. Gulseth up into the 4th position now as they make their way over to 7 and 8. And how about that for a lead? Dominic Gaddis out in front as they go door to door. Stoner tried it on Gulseth, heading down into turn 9, thought better of it, got back in the line. And now behind AJ Stoner in the 4th position, Danny O'Gara starting to see if he can't start to push on him. And there is your leader, Dominic Gaddis, out in front.
Yeah, the drivers behind really can't make up their mind of who wants to lead this train to the front of the field. AJ Stoner leading that now behind Danny O'Gara and Pearson Gulseth. Having a good opening lap there, but Caleb, they have to be very, very careful, especially in 206 racing, to not let him get too far away out in front. But obviously with AJ Stoner and Danny O'Gara, 2 drivers who are incredible around Whiteland Raceway Park and are on teams that are based here, with AJ Stoner representing AMAX in 2nd, and then Danny O'Gara, Top Kart USA in 3rd. You have to think that if those 2 combine and start working with each other out in front, Dominic Gaddis will have 2 more karts in his rear view mirror in just a couple of laps time. But you can't take away from the fact that Dominic has had a very, very, very good opening lap to build that gap and give him a little bit of breathing room for this opening couple of laps.
Yeah, and AJ Stoner, like you said, up 1 more position to P2. He brought Danny O'Gara with him. Gulseth falls back into 4th. Let's see if Danny O is able to give a little bit of a push there to AJ Stoner to catch him back up to the leader of Gaddis out in front. And you want to talk about diversity of chassis. You have a KR MPG out in front. You have a Top Kart USA in P2. P3, you have an AMAX on a Coyote in P4. P3, now P2 with AJ Stoner there. Danny O'Gara on the Top Kart. And then you have I believe that is a Merlin running in the 4th position. So 4 different chassis manufacturers up inside the top 4 different teams, and also 4 incredible drivers who have shown all sorts of experience and maturity here in all of the racing divisions. It's now Danny O'Gara on the back of AJ Stoner, giving a little bit of a push, and it looks like they're slowly starting to track down Dominic Addis out in front. Last time by, Dominic went a 56.3, Stoner went 0.3 better of a 56.0, and O'Gara went a 55.9. So they're all 3 similar in times. O'Gara and Stoner just a little bit faster as a duo, and just like that, he's caught up. 3-car battle for the lead here as we're looking at 10 laps to go on the line. And like you said perfectly there, making the little fishing, reeling in the fishing line. He is catching them, and they are reeled in. The leader out in front. Let's see it now. We know AJ likes to lead. He's not content with anything but being up in front. Does he try here to 5 and 6? I think not. But I tell you what, Nate, I think turns 7 and 8 might be a good opportunity here for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn 7 and 8 is such an amazing complex because you can have the dive up the inside and then a lot of backing up and battling for position into 8. So hopefully we see a bit more of that, but how about that 1, 2, 3 carts battling for the win. AJ Stoner up the inside. We saw this in micro, and he gets that job done. And Danny O'Gara will follow through as Dominic Gaddis, for MPG Motorsports down to 3rd. Pearson Gulseth kind of losing that lead pack. He is about 1.1 seconds back last time across the stripe, at least from the leader. He's now 1 second away from Dominic Gaddis and losing time to him. And then P5 running there, that's Gavin Dyer in 5th. But out in front, Caleb, AJ Stoner, like you said perfectly, almost foreshadowing it. AJ Stoner does not like to be anywhere but P1. He likes to lead the pack away. But that is so true with a lot of these sportsmen and micro drivers. A lot of them are good at leading, some of them not so good at being the pusher. But as we see out in front, AJ Stoner knows his place. His place is out in front, and he's got Danny O'Gara and Dominic Gaddis right behind him, battling for the win.
Yeah, so these 3, like we saw reminiscent from the micro division, up in front, nose to tail, 1, 2, 3. O'Gara in that 2nd spot. I think he might be okay playing this one a little bit patient. I mean, he's raced with AJ Stoner almost his entire karting career, so he knows that AJ wants to be up in front. If he gets around him, AJ's not going to take he's not going to delay on the time to try to get back around him. And I think right now your best opportunity for these top 3 is not to battle back and forth here, because you're then going to allow more competitors to come up, the likes of Pearson Goleth and Gavin Dyer running in that 4th and 5th position. So these 3 right now, nose to tail. Stoner's still leading him over into turn 8. We're 1 lap, or this lap after will be halfway. So we're lap 6 now. When they come across the stripe, be cross flags with 7 more laps to go. And this is the penultimate class before we're done for the day. We got 1 more after this, and then that will wrap things up for Heat 1 through all classes. So where they finish here determines where they start in the pre-final. Pre-final determines where they start in the final now. AJ Stoner continues to lead here as they're now approaching halfway this time by, Nate.
Yeah, and AJ Stoner has done a good job so far with the pressure mounting from Danny O'Gara and Top Kart USA. I think you really hit the nail on the head there, Caleb, with Danny O'Gara knows how AJ Stoner is going to roll. If you try and pass him, he's going to pass you back. So really, what's the point? Just hang in there until the final couple of laps and then really set it free and try and go for that race win. Dominic Gaddis, hopefully in terms of Danny O'Gara's race, will be on the same page as him, as those 3 will probably just want to lay low until the final 2 laps to get things going there as they make their way through the Daytona corner and into the hairpin in turn 12 for this Mac Paving 206 Sportsman Heat 1. As still going through the old track there, the inner hairpin, that's turn 14 into the double lefts of 15 and 16. No moves being made out in front for the time being. Like Caleb and I said, AJ Stoner just loves to lead. He's going to hold that position for as long as he can. And Danny O'Gara seems very content to do so for the time being. And Dominic Gaddis does seem like he's on the same page, because they have built quite the gap. A 3.2 second gap to be precise to Pearson Gulseth on that 212 Franklin Motorsports Merlin behind them. As a battle, they thought, it looks like Danny O'Gara went for a bit of a cheeky move there into turn 8, but still Those top three remain unchanged. I say that. O'Gara up the inside. Contact made. O'Gara putting his hand up, accepting fault for that one, and files right back in line between himself and Dominic Gaddis, who does get past. So hopefully that's just Danny O'Gara losing momentum and no damage to that 267 Top Kart USA chassis as they make their way into turn 2. Now Dominic Gaddis on the back end of AJ Stoner for the first time this race in quite some time, I might add. And those three, yeah, you can't separate them that easily. They're still bumper to bumper to bumper. You can throw a blanket over them right now as they make their way into the hot spot of passing. It seems like this direction, turn 7. Onto the back straight they go as we are past the halfway mark for those keeping track. We're on lap 9 of 14 here on this 206 Sportsman heat number 1. Through the Daytona corner they go, the very high banked corner, which has the very similar banking angle to, I believe, Michigan International Speedway. So a little fun fact of the day for you there. But again, AJ Stoner still leading the way out in front. Dominic Gaddis glued to the rear end of that AMAX Racing Coyote, with Danny O'Gara starting to have a bit of an accordion effect in third place for him. He's able to close into the back end of Gaddis every once in a while, like here through this tight technical section, but once we get on to the back straight and into turn 12, it seems like he just falls back ever so slightly as AJ Stoner still getting hounded from the rear end by Dominic Gaddis, who's having a standout weekend for him as they make their way through the Daytona corner yet again. Stoner doing very, very well out in front to manage the pressure for the time being. O'Gara's not been able to find a way past. Dominic Gaddis is joined in the booth again by Xander Clements, the face of Kart Chaser himself there. Xander, it's been a fairly uneventful race here in 206 Sportsman, but like you've seen in all the national and regional level racing and 206 racing, once we get to those final 2 laps, that's when it's going to start to really unravel.
Yeah, this is like a textbook draft race, or especially cadet race in general, or any 206 race for that matter, where you get a couple kids that are smart enough to continue to just bide their time and run the clock out, so that way we're going to end up with just 3 in the hunt from the 9 that started towards the pointy end of the grid. So AJ Stoner's doing a fantastic job, but again, a big kudos as well to Dominic Gaddis for, you know, basically put your ego aside for a minute, push in second or push in third and wait. And what's nice about it is I like to compare it a little bit to poker. You know, he's not showing his hand. He's not giving AJ any intel as to whether he's better or worse. The only way that AJ can know if Dominic or Danny have any leg up on him in any sector of the racetrack is if he feels that push from behind. Besides that, Dominic has all of the cards or you know, all the view, and even better for Danny O'Gara, they both are able to watch the car in front, see if they're a little better or a little worse, and kind of map out how they want to play these final couple laps. But we're right down to it now. 3 to go. AJ Stoner, Dominic Gaddis, Danny O'Gara. A little change further back. Elam Stoner was able to get around Kason Hendrickson back for that 6th spot. Those two having a good little fight further down the boards, and then kind of by themselves, there's Pearson Golseth and Gavin Dyer in 4th and 5th, running around 5 seconds away. So the spotlight at the front, and right now that's our best battle, or looming battle, we should say here, because it hasn't kicked off yet, but we know it's going to go soon, Nate.
Yeah, and if you're Gaddis, you have to start thinking about when you do get a better run than AJ Stoner, do you, and maybe not at this level, but at the junior and senior level, do you even touch his rear bumper to give him that indication that if you get the tap in the rear bumper, if you're the leading kart, you're thinking, okay, I'm slow out there, I'm defending through that corner.
Yep.
So Gaddis might be having that in mind, but as they come across the stripe, this time 2 to go, sticks in the air as they'll be defending already. AJ Stoner defends into turn number 2. Gaddis is right there, unable to do anything with it, and Danny O'Gara is probably getting a little frustrated, thinking, I want to be the one to try and bring this to the AMAX driver out in front. Into the 6, 7, and 8 complex we go. We've seen so many passes in this section. Not this time though, Xander, as they make their way on to the back straight yet again, but Gaddis has a run. Drag race down the back straight. This is gonna get sketchy. Into the chicane. Gaddis on the outside. They stay with it, and somehow No change there, and they are still all bumper to bumper as they head into the inner hairpin in a couple of corners time. This is also a really late lunge type of corner to get a pass done. But Xander, out of the final 2 corners on this lap, white flag in the air this time by determine who's going to take the Heat 1 win, and Gaddis looks like he's going for it.
He's going straight to the outside. Danny O'Gara's going to try and go 3 wide down the inside for the lead. Danny O'Gara, what a surprise move. AJ's going to answer right back in the next corner, and it has all kicked off here in 206 Cadet on this final lap around. Side by side still for second there. O'Gara's going to fend off Gaddis, and that's going to buy AJ Stoner a little bit of cushion room when they head down the backstretch here for the final time, Nate.
Yeah, Danny O'Gara, what a move. That could have been 3 wide going into turn 2, but like you said, Xander, bought AJ Stoner a ton of time, but I don't think it's over yet. Look at the run that Danny O'Gara has. If he has a good run out of the outer hairpin, he might try a move into the inner hairpin. AJ Stoner looks at his outside as Gaddis up the inside of Danny O'Gara. O'Gara gets a little sideways. Gaddis is going to get the point back, but take a bow to AJ Stoner. What a race it was for him. P1 in Mac Paving 206 Sportsman with Dominic Gaddis, Danny O'Gara rounding out the podium, if you will, then Pearson Gulseth and Gavin Dyer, your top 5. And what a race it was for those 206 Sportsman drivers. Cannot wait for the pre-final and the final tomorrow. There is your full results. Elam Stoner, Kason Hendrickson, Rhett Johnson, and Chase Call, your final 9 carts. But Xander, on to one of the next big ones after this. We have a replay package from our team here at Whiteland Raceway Park, doing very, very well to get these to you in a quick time. Pearson Gulseth had a really, really good jump out of the opening couple of corners. Wasn't able to hold that, drop back into 4th, and wasn't able to be in this amazing fight for the lead, as AJ Stoner definitely, Xander, loves his passes into turn 12.
Yeah, and that was perfect right there. Was able to get by himself a little gap, brought Danny through with him, and then the battling, again, kind of started to fade away until we got closer towards the end. This here was that first attempt by Danny, and it could have gone sideways right there alone, but a good sign of sportsmanship. Danny kind of put his hand up, said sorry about that, getting into the side a little bit of AJ. Dominic able to get by, and then from here on, they began to really work together and say, you know what, we can wait a little bit longer before we try something like that again. Definitely not to throw the race away. And then here, this was an awesome over-under attempt. Dominic Gaddis got such a great run down the backstretch, and it's so hard to describe how sketchy this moment is right here. That massive bump in a full throttle, normally 1-lane chicane. They made it through cleanly 2 by 2, and then the run down the line here on the final lap. What a hero move, a major send from Danny O'Gara. He had locked the tires up, spun it sideways, and he almost had that move become the race-winning move, but the door was back open in the very next turn, and AJ took full advantage to get back to the lead. And from here, again, same way as he went to the lead earlier, kind of triggered that fight for second as he went by, bought him a lot of time, and then it went all the way down to the wire at the very end, where eventually Dominic was able to kind of get one back over on Danny with 2 corners to go, and AJ Stoner was able to cross the line and clinch a heat race victory in a very entertaining Mac Paving 206 Sportsman opening heat race. And hopefully we're going to get treated in much of the same tomorrow, but we still have one more division to run here this afternoon, and it is the ever exciting KA Juniors. Let's take you through the lineup here all the way down. Caleb Tarter defending the house here, the MPG Motorsports team, among many based at Whiteland Raceway Park, starts alongside the Hoach Driver Development entry of Ben Abernathy on row 2, Jackson Deal and Ryan Mort, along with Landon Boer, as you mentioned in qualifying, 4 of the top 5 spots in the red and white cars.
Yeah, what a qualifying session it was for MPG Motorsports. The mantra going into this weekend, defend the house, and they did that brilliantly, locking out 4 of the top 5 spots. Ticker goes away, and we are getting set for P1 Racing Engines KA100 Junior. If you saw the USPKS race last weekend, so many of these drivers are going to look familiar, like Benham Abernathy, who does not get a good jump like Caleb Tarter did off the start there, as everyone going left and right trying to find their own piece of track to find the time to move themselves up, but it's just a sea of red KRs out in front and leading the way in KA100 Junior. But Benham Abernathy for Hoach Driver Development up the inside there into turn 7, a hot spot for overtaking thus far this weekend. So now the Hoach Driver Development driver leads 3 MPG KRs, and then Brady Schad making his way up there as well. Cash Perkins, who had a decent weekend at USPKS and Millwright Raceway last weekend, is up into that battle as well. He started 8th. making up a few positions there for him. But out of the final couple of corners, Xander, Benham Abernathy is a driver who will lead them across the stripe and now has the cards in his favor.
Yeah, and what a opening lap as well for Brady Shad. Got to give a lot of kudos to that young man in 5th. He jumped up from the 5th row back in 10th when he crossed the line to start this one. 5 spots up already on the opening lap. He's not the last one in this lead train, though, led by Abernathy. It goes all the way back to Cash Perkins and Sam Tutwiler. We're 7 deep here in the lead group, and at any moment it could really break out now as Abernathy takes us down the backstretch, and we begin to settle in for a moment, it feels like, as we work lap number 2. Single file through the chicane for the top 7. Another 3 or 4 car battle further back. That's led by Ryan Mort. It looks like he was able to get around Austin Dramalev for the 8th position earlier in this lap. So little change back beyond your top 7, but no change for the lead. Benham Abernathy is going to come to the line. He'll lead lap number 2.
Yeah, and Ryan Moore and Caleb Tartar and Jackson Deal right there on Benham Abernathy. It just seems like Caleb Tartar is really having to work that MPG KR in second, but it seems to be taking it, where the host driver development driver of Benham Abernathy having to be very smooth and consistent on the wheel. Tartar can really wheel that thing in, and it will stick behind the back end of the 877. Your leader for the time being, Jackson Deal, sitting in 3rd as they go through the chicane, through the Daytona corner there. Landon Boer, you can see in shot, kind of falling back, is changed for the lead. Caleb Tartar up the inside of Benham Abernathy, takes the lead away and continues to defend the house. Deal up the inside as well, and Benham Abernathy might have 3 MPG KRs past him in just a couple of corners. We'll see if he defends into turn 3. A bit of a move there from Boer, but unable to get that done. But Xander, this has really brought Cash Perkins back into it.
Yeah, he was able to get around Brady Shad a moment ago to move himself up to 5th. He's right there on the cusp now of Landon Boer's 820 machine. Let's see if Landon tries the inside. He does. In the back 2 hairpins, he'll take over 3rd, and it's a red and white Army 1, 2, 3 here for the MPG Motorsports machines. Abernathy got absolutely swarmed by the pair up front. Now he fades to 4th. Cash Perkins is knocking on the door. He wants another spot as well. Let's see if he goes. No, they're going to go side by side back there for 3rd into that hairpin. Abernathy's going to lose out big time. He's going to fall back about 3 spots, maybe 4. 3 wide now further back as they go through that corner just outside the frame. A huge backward slide this lap alone for the 877, who started on the front row and led our opening couple laps. He crosses the line all the way down in 9th as Caleb Tartar and Jackson Deal continue to show the way. And one thing I was going to mention a little bit earlier that might have been part of the door opening for Benham Abernathy. You touched on it earlier in the broadcast, Nate, about how with the rubber going down, a lot of drivers are trying to take a narrower line, get underneath the rubber, and bank through the corner. Use that grip to be able to make a shorter line and still carry the same amount of roll speed. The other benefit to that is having that narrower entry kind of closes off that thought, that idea of the driver behind thinking I can send it down the inside. Abernathy, on the other hand, had a wider arc, a later apex, if you will, and that just again opens that door of opportunity for someone to stuff it to the inside lane. They did that, and unfortunately it sent him into a whirlwind that he is now trying to recover from, as he still is moving back up 1 spot, but a long ways back from the lead, 4.5 seconds away, as he and Sam Tutwiler were both able to get around Dramalev last time by. But in a similar move to what we just witnessed in 206 Sportsman. Well, looked like it was going to be similar, the two working together to get away, but we've got a change in the lead. Jackson Deal going through, and now it's a flip-flop of the 2 Kart Republics up front. The 894 now commands the way through the chicane as we approach the halfway mark.
Yeah, the real deal out in front as things stand. A bit of a change there for the MPG Motorsports drivers as Jackson wants to go to try and break away from this train as Cash Perkins is pounding the back end of Landon Boer. Up the inside goes Perkins. That's him up into 3rd. But like you said, Xander, it is worst case scenario for Benham Abernathy, had the momentum mentally from last weekend, who did so well against the nation's best at the USPCAS. Came here, had a good qualifying session, and has fallen through the field quickly a couple of laps ago, and it's going to be hard to recover from that as they're going to be getting the halfway signal next time by as Brady Schad getting shuffled down there from Ryan Moore. A slick move from the 812 to be late on the brakes into turn 7 as they make their way down the back straightaway yet again in this Heat 1 for P1 Racing Engines KA100 Junior. Caleb Tartar really not able to respond to Jackson Deal's attack on him and getting past him for the lead. Just hasn't been able to close back up to his MPG Motorsports teammate. I say that, but in this tight technical section, it seems like Tartar might have a little bit of an advantage on his teammate in front, but it's still going to be a task because that is half a second to try and gain Xander between Deal and Tartar out in front.
Yeah, good consistent lap there from Jackson Deal at 50.5, but it was not the fastest. Cash Perkins is flat flying right now, working his way up from an outside top 5 starting spot, just inside the top 10. Didn't have the best opening lap, and he has been slowly picking the field apart ever since. Last time by, he was 3/10 clear of the race leader, and he was even further faster than Caleb Tartar. So as much as Tartar is focused on trying to hold on to the coattails of Jackson Deal right now, he's got bigger problems, and that is that bright yellow and blue machine right behind him closing in for second with still a long ways to go. Further back as well, Sam Tutwiler on the move in that black and yellow OTK. He's caught up to Brady Schad and Ryan Moore. He has not been able to do anything with them yet, but he as well, back in that 7th position, is running some heater times as we watch now a potential pass looming here for P2. Cash Perkins all over Caleb Tartar, although through the switchback hairpins he has lost a tick of ground, not a ton, but that will kind of close that window of us thinking that we might see a position change. If anything, Caleb Tartar really picked up the pace there in the back couple hairpins. He ate back up into that lead of his teammate Jackson Deal and pulled a nice enough gap that he could breathe for a second. Although again, Perkins is close and even quicker than all 3 of them last time by, or at least quicker than the leader. Landon Boers, there's a big contact move there. Perkins sent it on the inside of Caleb Tartar. Hopped wheels. Luckily, neither one's going to lose a ton of spots, but they just lost a ton of time. Boo were able to get around the pair of them, and so it's now Tartar and Perkins falling down the boards to 3rd and 4th. And what a move, what a heads-up move there from Landon Boer to get at least to 3rd. It looks like Tartar was able to hold on to 2nd, but Cash Perkins is going to have to hit the reset button here, Nate. Thankfully, they're going to fight in front of him.
Yeah, and Cash Perkins, a bit of a misjudged move there. Unfortunate for him and unfortunate for the 2 MPG Motorsports drivers of Caleb Tartar and Landon Buer, who are really just brought out of the fight for the win from Jackson Deal, who is running away with it out in front of that 894. Talking a little bit about Cash Perkins, who's been doing a lot of improvement on the regional and national scene in the past couple of years. He's working with Speed Concepts Racing this season, and how about a junior program that they have with now the addition of Diego Ardiles and Jackson Wolney on that team, learning from them and the likes of Austin Garrison. It is quite the squad to be on, as he got the B-Main win at the Carolina Grand Prix for KA100 Junior and burst his way through the field there as well. Cash Perkins with a new livery last weekend and moving that into this weekend as well. Going to be one of the drivers to watch not only this weekend but in terms of the championship. But out in front though, Xander, Jackson Deal, what a race it's been for him. Yeah, it's been a little quiet. He made 1 pass for the lead, but still you can't discount the fact when you're able to build a 2.5 second gap to a field that is very, very strong. But up the inside, Cash Perkins making it P3 for him as he will get past. That is Caleb Tartar for 3rd. He's got Landon Boer in front of him. Still got a little bit of inroads to make up there, and I don't think they're going to be battling for the win with just a few laps to go. It'll be 6 in the air next time by from our flagman Mick Gallagher. But Xander, Cash Perkins still got a little bit of time to make up if he wants to battle for 2nd.
Sam Tutwiler was also able to get by Tartar right there for 4th, so Tutwiler's march forward as well continues. He's been putting together some really good laps these last few times around, and he is now well inside the top 5 with a shot to maybe get up to 3rd if Cash Perkins can get up and mess with Landon Boer a little bit. But as you mentioned, Jackson Deal has put together a flawless opening heat race on this weekend, trying to set himself up for a great main event tomorrow afternoon. 2.5 seconds will give you a lot of confidence going to bed tonight before he wakes back up, runs that 2nd heat tomorrow morning, and then gets ready in the afternoon for the final. 2 to go here at the line for the 894, and we keep a tab on that fight for 2nd. Deal through turn 2, a healthy margin, and then Landon Boer, Cash Perkins, Sam Tutwiler gearing up to get after it, and behind them as well, Tarter still looming, and Ryan Mort has charged his way back up the boards a little bit. He's 6th, Chad 7th, Abernathy, Dramalev, and then Shane Reddy rounding your top 10. While this fight for second is about to go down, it looks like Nate Cash Perkins is right there.
Yeah, Boer defended into 7 on Cash Perkins on one of the tightest corners on the track. It's interesting to see that Perkins wasn't able to get by, but Boer is still going defensive. Little bit of wheel hop action between the two of them out of turn 12. Into the inner hairpin they go now, as that is Sam Tutwiler, who is caught up to the back end of them. And we got 2 more MPG Motorsports KOs on the tailcoats of them as they head their way into turn 2 on this final lap. We're white lining it as Jackson Deal still out in front, but looking for who comes out of this corner first. It's going to be Landon Boer for the time being. Cash Perkins might try a move into turn 7, a late braking move into turn 7. If he wants to get this P2 spot, he's going to try it, but Boer defends. Tutwiler around the outside and gets it done on Cash Perkins, but for how long? Side by side into the chicane they go. One of them's got a lift, and it's gonna be Sam Tutwiler. Cash Perkins takes it away from him. It's not gonna be a second place that he would have wanted, but how about it from Landon Boer to defend a charging pack of angry KA100 Junior drivers is out of the final couple of corners. Jackson Deal's gonna take the win, but we're gonna focus on this battle for second. Landon Boer does well to hold on for second. Cash Perkins in third. Sam Tutwiler in fourth. Ryan Mort in 5th, and Caleb Tarter 6th for the MPG Motorsports crew. A crazy, crazy race, and P1 Racing Engines KA100 Junior. More of that to come tomorrow. But how about that, Xander? Really going down in the final couple of laps for the drivers, second on down in that battle pack, battling for the podium places. But it was a pretty easy race, though, from Jackson Deal once he did get by for the lead, as we'll begin replay packages now. Xander, take us through this start.
Yeah, let's go ahead and kick things off, right? It was a good opening couple of laps for the red and white boys, but it was a great opening lap for Benham Abernathy on that Hotes DD OTK. Got his way to the lead, and then this is where things started to get a little sideways. First, losing the top spot, then going side by side for second with what felt like, I'm sure, just an outnumbered battle here, as he was 3-1 between the teammates that all went on every single side of him, and it slowly came unglued from there as he lost another spot in the back hairpins, and then where he really got tripped up was on the run down the back straightaway and then into this. Look at this, 3 wide on the far corner of your screen. Abernathy got put in the middle and was just trying to hang on for dear life, it felt like, as he faded all the way down to the 9th spot. The speed was still there, but again, once you get all those marbles on the tires and you get offline for a lap, it takes a few to rebound, and that allowed these two to break away. Jackson Deal going through to the lead, and then here we saw Perkins reeling in Caleb Tarter, getting ready to wind him up for a move, but this was just a bit overzealous as they got a bit together there going into the corner, and it could have ended a whole lot worse than what it did with just a 1 position loss for the pair.
Yeah, absolutely, and that really set the precedent for the race, and you get another replay there from the tower cam of just really clipping wheels there at the end of the apex. Unfortunate, because they almost got away with that, Xander. It was a late move from Perkins, almost got it done, and again, more contact between himself and Boer, who looked around thinking, where did that come from? As this was the hot spot of the day in turn 7 and 8. A lot of passing being done there, a lot of switchback city, if you will, if you want to take that name from Speed Sports. But checkered flag there for Jackson Deal. What a race it was for him, getting what I believe is probably his first Route 66 win, at least in heat races. Landon Boer doing very well. What a race it was for MPG. Yeah, it's their home track, but you still have to convert in those situations, Xander. So really, really exciting one in KA100 Junior. There are your unofficial results, pending tech and scales for your top 15. A lot of MPG Motorsports representation in there, and we are definitely going to be looking forward to this one going into tomorrow.
Yeah, an awesome bookend to the day here on the format for both today and, of course, tomorrow's main event. That this was really just a teaser, a sneak preview of what's to come later on this weekend. The gaps at the end of the race don't tell the full story. It was a battle from start to finish, initially for the lead, until Deal was able to slip away and put some laps down on his own. A great charge forward for Sam Tutwiler as well. We focused a lot on Perkins. They both were on kind of identical charges, just a couple spots further back for the 899. He eventually winds ends up in 4th, and he had that awesome around the outside and then over-under move, setting himself up for turn 8. Just ended up losing it down to the bus stop, but still a great march up the grid. That'll put him on the 2nd row for tomorrow. Mort, Tartar, Shad, Dramalev, Abernathy, Reddy, Cameron Marsha hovered to the top 10, ends up down in 11th. Then Jackson Baldus, Thomas Anthony, Dane Van Dyke, Jack Fiber, and then Tyler Johnson. As there was issues, unfortunately, for Christopher Utzi. He was the only one of the 17 that was unable to complete all of the 14 laps. The rest of them, the juniors, well behaved enough for the opening race of the weekend, which is a good end to Saturday. And it's always a great day at the racetrack here when we have at least consistent weather conditions for the mechanics and families here. Happy to not have to go back and forth from a rain setup to dry as we had yesterday during the practices, and always, of course, a great day when that red flag ambulance doesn't have to roll as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to say that KA100 Junior had a fairly clean race, you don't get to say that too often in racing. So glad that they behaved themselves. Hopefully I didn't jinx that, as I'll knock on wood for the 2 races tomorrow. Looking forward to that. We have the pre-final and the final to come tomorrow, but for the on-track action, that is all. Well, thank you all for tuning in to the Kart Chaser live stream, and for those listening around the track, thank you for listening. And be sure to watch the races tomorrow, and to be sure to subscribe to KC Premium. Of course, you're listening now, but might as well get your friends and family to join as well, because after today's racing, you are not going to want to miss the pre-finals and the finals tomorrow. Xander, what a day of racing it was. Looking forward to tomorrow's action.
Absolutely, right? This is going to be this track has provided such good racing already. This layout, no question that this was the right decision to put them on. Whiteland has a ton of awesome track configurations, but this layout here for the Route 66 Sprint Series has provided us with a lot to talk about all day long. And again, for those in the paddock, of course, the festivities do not end. The on-track stuff does. The off-track party is just getting started. There is all kinds of stuff going on here this evening. Of course, for July 4th weekend, we've got a fireworks display. We have a ton going on tonight here, Nate. Why don't you let the viewers know at home what they're missing, sadly, when we go off the air, because there are so many cool things here that Chris Kardashian and the entire Route 66 team put together every single weekend. Last night, a ton of fun. Tug-of-war contest. The MPG team just barely got that one as well, although I'm sure there was a lot of trash talk on whether or not it was the right side. They were uphill, they were downhill, and then, of course, we had the egg toss as well, where you had a partner. You were trying to get as far away as you could to throw the egg, catch it without it breaking. And then tonight, well, we've got a big laundry list of fun activities for the entire family.
Yeah, I had to pull up the list because there's just so many on there. Obviously, we have the cookout presented by Whiteland Raceway Park in the O'Gara, so I wanted to have a huge thank you to them. That's 2 years in a row that they have been the presenting sponsors for that. They had some amazing food, so if you're in the paddock, come and join for that, as we have Caleb with us joining as well. Ice cream machine with root beer floats. We'll have a dunk tank. We'll have Chris Kardashian, I believe, Race Liberante, and Chase Jones in there as well. He will be in there, so if you are in the paddock or if you're even near Whiteland, come on down to try and get him into the water there. We have the cornhole tournament that's become a staple of the Route 66 weekend. We have a reaction time game. If you've seen the Formula 1 drivers doing pre-race, doing the buzzers with the lights doing up, you can do that as well. And then, like Xander said, we have the fireworks show at 9:30. If you've seen the videos from last year on social media, you are not going to want to miss this show. Caleb, we asked Xander about what his thoughts were on the race day. You're here now. How is it for you?
I mean, it was honestly one of the better ones that we've had. I'm thoroughly impressed by how aggressive the first heat was. I thought it'd be a little stagnant. Pre-final, I thought it'd pick up just a little bit, and then come time for the feature, I think it's going to be crazy. I think today, maybe the crazy got out of the way from the start. Everyone might go back and look and say, maybe that was a little too much of it. I mean, they were white-lining halfway through in some of the classes, but obviously, fantastic racing all the way through. Very excited for tomorrow. We've been blessed. Beautiful weather here. Not too hot. It's been a little warm, but it's middle of July in Indiana, so you can't expect it to be in the 70s, but it's been the low 80s. Perfect weather all the way through, and most exciting thing I'm looking for is seeing my boss get dunked into a thing of water. I am so excited for that. Check out social media. There will be videos posted all over the place of this guy getting dunked to the dunk tank tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it all goes to a great cause here as we're all going to charity for all the funds to throw as many as you want at me, at Race, at Chase. And don't get me wrong, thankfully I'm not the only one, so I'll at least get some clapbacks on, I'm sure, Race Liberante, Chase Jones, that'll be in there. I believe Trevor Marsha's going in as well, Cameron's dad. So he's already had a busy enough day. And I'm sure for him and for Race and Chase and Chris himself, maybe not necessarily upset about getting a dunk into cold water with the heat and working as hard as they have. For us, I mean, we've had a bit of a blessed day being here in the awesome Whiteland Raceway Park Tower with the AC, but like you said, still warm outside, and I'm sure if I'm out there for a little bit, I'll be looking forward to that dunk tank too. Maybe the first time. I don't know if I want to go in 30 times, but I wouldn't bet on not going in that many times, because I'm sure the line to throw and see if you can hit the target is going to be pretty long later tonight. But either way, it's all awesome. It's a ton of fun. This series, again, this is our my first event back with the Route 66 Sprint Series since the series changed ownership, and Chris has taken it to such an awesome grassroots family fun level and really brought the turnout to have this many people choose to spend their holiday weekend here at the racetrack racing, having fun. Obviously, we have all these fun activities to make it a great family weekend as well here tonight, but I think that speaks volumes to the work that you've done, Nate. Your family is so involved here as well, the entire team, making this just such a fun atmosphere and an awesome regional kart racing weekend and series to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's awesome to have Kart Chaser back for this weekend. Hoping to see you guys at more Route 66 races in the future. But for myself, Caleb, Xander, who the next time you see him on social media will not be this dry, mark my words. For that, thank you to all the racers and the staff here today. Thank you to the amazing stream partners of Coastal Link, Printing, Pride, and Shop AKR. Remember to use their code on checkout. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We still have a awesome and thrilling day of action ahead of us tomorrow. My name is Nate Dean. For these wonderful two alongside me, we're going to sign off for now. Be sure to tune in to the pre-final and the final tomorrow for the second round of the Route 66 Sprint Series here at Whiteland Raceway Park.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com? They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep.
gloves,
Yep.
rib protectors.
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.